Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hello, it is me, Stephen, craving something scary here. And I'm so glad that you are joining this live stream that was really impromptu. Excuse me. and I my Christmas day is winding down, as I'm sure yours is as well. And I decided I would just, had a great time Thursday night, and I thought I would just jump in pretty much unannounced. I put a little thing out, what, an hour ago, maybe like an hour ahead of time. So I said, whoever shows up, then great. We'll talk. We'll have a good time, and it's no big deal for those who can't make it because it's Christmas Day and or Christmas night. So it's all good. So I'm glad you are here, and I do want to say one thing first is that on a Thursday night, if you were here as part of the live stream, I there was towards the very end, like the last probably 10 minutes, we had someone jumping in the live stream, spamming what they said was a leak about Scream 5, a spoiler. And because I was so behind in the comments, I did, by the time I got there, it had been up for a little while. So when I saw the header saying, leak, spoil from Reddit or whatever, I didn't read it. Like just purposely moved my eyes away from the comments. I didn't want to see any spoilers. As you guys know, I don't like spoilers. I don't put them up. I don't do spoilers on my channel. This is a theory only channel, as you know, if you've been here for a while. If you're new to the channel, then that is what we're about. I'm all about theories, ideas, but actual like real legit spoilers, that's not what I do. And so anyway, when I saw what was going on, I did delete the comments and ban the user. But I do want to tell you something. Though I got messages from a couple of you after that live stream ended, and basically told me that the comments that this person said were leaks are old and debunked. So if you read that, whatever he said, if you read that, then fear not, because um, they actually are not real. So they're not real spoilers. So anyway, I just wanted to start off with saying that because, man, nothing. I hate that when someone tries to ruin a movie for you, and that's completely not what I'm all about. So anyway, enough of that. Let's see who's able to make it tonight. So, Chad Meeks Martin, of course. Chad, welcome. Jen, I see Jen here in the chat. Welcome, Jen. Glad you could jump on our little impromptu um, session tonight. Let's see, Liv McKenzie. I love this, guys. How we're already seeing. How many of you guys have these usernames for these new characters already? I think that's really awesome. David is in the house. David, good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in. And who else do we got? Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, we got lots of the Ghostface is in the chat. Hey, yeah, no, you're not late. You're right on time, man. Very good. All right, and I know there's others that are here also, and welcome. So let's talk about your Christmas. Oh, hey, from Pluto. Hey, I'm just now catching up. I see. Hey there, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And Valerie's back from in the chat. And Thanos, what's up, Thanos? Hey, man, Merry Christmas. Arthur, Merry Christmas to you. Mega Giants in the house. Kimmy D. Hey, Kimmy, welcome. Kimmy says, just saw this on Twitter. First time joining in. Love Scream. And hey, you're in the right place, Kimmy. I'm glad that you were able to join tonight. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the family here of Craving Something Scary. And if you have not joined the channel or had a chance to view any of my other content, be sure you do. I think you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, I should say. The Era's in the house. Hello. Merry Christmas. Lydia and Bubba's in the house. Hey there. Merry Christmas. Marion's here. All right, Marion. Good to see you. You're welcome. Unlike Killjoy Jake, I really don't have any friends. Oh, come on now, Marion. I don't buy that. But whatever the case may be, you have a friend in me. Remember the old song? You got a friend in me. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Marion. Merry Christmas. Okay. Well, Juan, also, I see you here. Hey, Juan's checking in from Mexico. Hey, awesome, Juan. Welcome. Isn't that great? There were not, it wasn't too long ago. We couldn't do anything like this. This is a pipe dream, man. It was literally on the phone or sending a mail. Send a letter through the mail. And then we got email, and even email was like, okay, that was a leap forward, but nothing like this. It's incredible. And I love that, so it's pretty cool. Joey, oh hey Joey, Joey, hey man, Merry Christmas. Glad you could jump in tonight. So guys, if you've not had a chance yet to see my video I posted earlier today for on Christmas, it was I don't know 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, somewhere in there. Anyway, you'll see the thumbnail. It's the unreleased new image. So check that out. And Joey Novarini the second is who provided me with those images, and one of them is unreleased. It is not yet out. It is from an upcoming TV ad for Scream. So he was able to hook me up with an unreleased image. So it's in the video. But good to see you, Joey. Thanks, man. You guys, be sure you check out his YouTube channel. He has got some really great Scream content. We just really became acquaintances, and I have been diving into his channel, and he's got some great stuff. A lot of historical stuff too from the older Scream films. So definitely check out Joey's channel. You see his name here to search his name. And if you go to the other video I posted, you'll see I put a link in the description to his channel. All right. Alex is in the house. Yeah, man. So excited. I am too. I am just so ready for this movie. Man, we're under 3 weeks, guys. All right, let's dig into some Scream 5 talk, guys. If I haven't called your name out, I will. I'm trying to stay more on top of things, but I think I'm pretty well caught up right now for those who've commented. So Mega Giant is going to start us off. Craven, okay, what are your realistic expectations for Sam in Scream 5? Wow, man, that's a great question. I mean, because it's an important question, because really, if we're talking about moving this franchise forward, if the idea is what we think it is, where they're introducing the new final girl, and let's say for argument's sake it is Sam, because that's how they're crafting it for us, right, as fans. So let's just go with that narrative for right now. And my expectations for her, if that's her role, is that she's going to man, she's got to be strong, man. She's going to have to be a strong actress. So it's two things. It's her chops as an actress, to do well. That's number one. She's going to have that ability to endear us, to win us over, and then it's connected right with her characters, right? So those character traits that they have written for the character of Sam is the other piece of it, because you can have a super great actor, man, but if the character is not written well, then it's going to be hard. But my hope is that and from whatever all indications we have, the writing is going to be really strong. Everyone, including the OG3, is just talking with such enthusiasm and energy about this movie and the story and these characters. So I'm going to go on the assumption it's going to be strong. So to me, it's going to come down to how well can Melissa Barrera capture us, right? Capture us as a lead character. How much will she be able to engage us to the point where, as fans, we care about her, right? We're interested in her story. And that's what's going to make it a success moving forward or not. Because, Sydney, she's got us. We love Sydney. We know who she is. But as they phase her out, though, that's the big question. So realistic expectations is that she's not going to become Sydney. She's not. So I don't, it's not fair. And if any of us go into this movie and we're saying, okay, Melissa, you're going to have to be, you're going to have to meet Sydney's standards. You're going to have to be as good as Sydney, or as good as Nev, I should say. And that's kind of an unfair thing, because they're different people. These are different characters. So my approach to it is I'm going to go into this giving her all the benefit of the doubt, open-minded, expecting good things, and I want to just see how her character is written. That's really big because, and whatever character arc she has, her personality as a character, then I just want to see Melissa meet that full potential of that character. That's my expectation. And you may say that's still high, but yeah, it kind of is high because I think for this franchise to do well moving forward, and if we want to get the next trilogy that we are hoping for, we're going to have her be that good. She's just going to have to be that good. So that's my hope and that's my expectation. That's a great question. All right. What else? What else? Arthur, what actress would you like to see playing Sam and Tara's mother? Wow, that's a really good question. I really haven't thought about that much. I have thought about before, like, wonder who Sam's parents are. That's because that's such an intriguing question. And she's not to start digging up a bunch of stuff, but she's in the age range because we know that Sam's in her 20s. And so we know that the timeline works that she could actually be Billy Loomis's daughter. She could be, guys. Not saying she is, but it's possible. And I mean, I think most of us probably say that we think she's probably a Loomis. I don't know. Majority seems to be of who I talk to that think that she is a Loomis. I think she is a Loomis. I think she's definitely either a sibling of Billy's or man, she could be she could be his daughter. I mean, I think that's probably the further, least likely, I should say, to happening. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. But who plays the mother? Who is the mother of Sam? I don't, I just don't know. But who would I like to see? Oh gosh, I mean, you know, there's so many great people. Um, Judy Greer, man, would be really great. I mean, I think I'm a big Judy Greer fan. So, I think she would be awesome as Sam's mom. So that's someone who I would like actively recruit if you were asking me. If I was in the casting department, I would be like calling Judy Greer and saying, "Hey, how about being Sam's mom?" you know? And so that's one that comes to mind that I really would like to see. So, all right. Chad, me and Liv here, straight from Scream 5. Feel free. Oh my gosh, you guys are silly. But I know I mentioned it earlier that we have folks coming in and out of the chat, so I know we're getting new folks joining all the time. But yeah, no spoilers. That's right, no spoilers for sure, man. All right, guys, keep your questions coming in if you got some Scream 5 questions. All right, now, all right, David. David's asking Liv, but this is a good question. When is the full trailer 2 coming? Man, guys, can you believe it didn't drop yesterday? I was so man, I felt so confident that it was going to happen on the on that, the 12th day of or the 12th scream of Christmas campaign. And I mean, in fact, the whole Lethal Collective, myself, Fate, Killjoy Jake, Nightwatch Zone, we had talked about it earlier in the week, and we all were like really confident that it was going to happen. And so we had what most of you guys don't know. I think I shared it with excuse me, one or two of you, but we actually had planned to have an impromptu live stream yesterday morning if that trailer had dropped at 8 a.m. Central Time, as they've been doing every day. If it had dropped yesterday morning, we were going to do a quick impromptu, kind of like this, to talk about the last trailer. But unfortunately, it did not happen. So as you guys know, so we did not see that. But I don't know. It's that I think it's still coming. I mean, you know, there's no reason for it not to come out. They've already got it done. It's already been done, so they're just waiting to put it out. It's 2 minutes and 21 seconds. It's been approved. So it's coming out. I think that maybe they're waiting till they hit the 2 week mark now, which should be this coming Friday, will be exactly 2 weeks. So maybe they're holding that last full length trailer for like just a last minute marketing blitz. Just, bam, put, right for that last push for the movie. That's my guess because I really thought it would have been out by now, but I do believe it's still coming. All right, Joey, are you on the same level of thinking as Fate decided regarding box office numbers? I'm very hopeful you'll be great. Yeah, so Fate and we both are on the same track, but he goes a little bit further down the track than I do. I think it will be because I think the last I heard he was saying he says he wouldn't be surprised if it did 300 million worldwide. And man, that's a big number. That's that for especially for a horror movie. That is huge, man. That's like really huge number. So I love his zeal for it, and I agree with him that it's going to do really well. I'm just a little bit more. I'm tempered my expectations a little bit because it's the climate of what we're dealing with, right now that everyone's getting shots for and boosters for, all of these things. We know, what I'm talking about. This all of these variables going on, but I still think it could do $100 million in the U.S. and North Canada. I mean, North American box office. Excuse me. Canada and the U.S. So that's my prediction. I think it will. I think it can do 100 million. I think it's going to hit that 80. I think it's going to do a solid 80 million to 100 million in the U.S. alone. If you put in the whole worldwide numbers, it'll probably that'll probably do 130, something like that. I mean, 140, maybe do 150, maybe. I mean, that's a huge number. So I think that if this thing does if the budget's around 30 to 40 million dollars, right in there, if they do 80 plus in US only, I think it's a success as far as sales goes. When the studio looks at a movie, they're looking at it as, what's our box office sales? And if it comes in at that number of at least 80 to 100 million, I think we can all breathe a sigh of relief and we can say this was a success and that we're going to get a sequel, or I should say Scream 6, which would be a sequel to Scream 2022. It'll be called something else. They're not going to use the number system, it looks like. So it'll be Scream Rises or Woodsboro Returns or what, it'll be one of those things, but that's fine. I can live with that. But as long as we get the next of the movie, because I think this is going to be a trilogy. Radio Silence does want to do this as a trilogy. So, we'll see at the end of the day, but I really do believe my numbers are going to be about, quite a bit lower than what Fate's predicting. He's predicting it to hit, 300. I think worldwide 150 is more like what we might see. Excuse me, might see. But I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope it's 200, 300 would be great, but anyway, that's what I think. Yeah. I'm just hoping it gets to 80 to 100 million and we'll be good to go. Nick Singleton in the house. Hey, Craven, love you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that very much. All right, Alex got a prediction here. I theorize that both Dewey and Gale don't make it out of this movie. Ooh. And Sydney is saved by Sam. What are your thoughts? Well, man, I tell you, I'm going to tell you. First of all, I'm going to say that's possible. It is very much is possible. It's I can't rule it out, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts are that we only lose one OG3. I don't think we lose two. I think one of them is definitely not going to make it, and we've been pretty conditioned by the marketing that it's going to be Dewey. I mean, I think they're trying to like tell all of us who are legacy fans going back to Scream 96. I think that they're trying to set us up for this expectation that we're going to lose Dewey finally in this movie. And I have to say, if he ends up being the one who does die, if they all don't make it, then I will applaud them for at least trying to get us ready for it. Because I think I think they're doing a good job of it. Because I can't. There was a point in time where I was so against it that I like would refuse to even talk about it. Like I refuse to even let myself consider the possibility that it could happen. And there came a point where as they began the marketing with the Airbnb, right? And they began all the marketing materials and you see Dewey everywhere. Like, well, it's like, whoa, Dewey is becoming the face of this marketing campaign. And then the trailer comes out and look at all the trailer time Dewey gets. I mean, we have Dewey's the one talking. He's the narrator at the beginning. It's happening again. You know, these attacks are different. Sydney, do you have a gun? All this narration is coming from Dewey. It's like he is the guy that's kind of leading us into this whole trailer. And then he talks about there's rules to survive. So I'm like, oh, they are really pushing Dewey up front. They're making him such a focal point. And man, I'm telling you, all of my check engine lights started going off saying there's more to this than face value because this is a Scream movie. I mean, nothing's ever just face value. Remember that when this everything we see, very little of it, not all of it, but very little of it is just face value. There's usually always a hidden meaning, or there's some kind of an arrow that's pointing us one way or another. And they're doing it with Dewey, and they still are. I mean, the trailers that come out, he's always in that fighting in that hospital scene. I mean, it's just everywhere. So I, you know, I think that one of them is going to probably die in this film. Again, I think Dewey's the one that doesn't make it. That's my expectation when I go into the theater on the 14th. I'm expecting, but not hoping, but I'm expecting to see him not survive. And I really believe the hospital scene is going to be where it happens, and that's going to happen about the midpoint of the movie, and then we finally see Sydney returning to Woodsboro because why was she returned to Woodsboro to help people that doesn't know, right? That there's no connection to. So Dewey calls her and says, "Hey Sydney, it's happening again. There's been 3 attacks. Something about these feel different." He gives but I don't that doesn't mean she necessarily comes down. Remember, she's got a family. She's got a baby in the stroller, at least she has at least one child, and then she's married, she's got a whole family of her own. And so it's very possible Sydney could be like, Dewey, I appreciate you calling me, and I just can't do it. I just can't risk my family. It's just happened too many times. So I know you're going to get them. I know I have full confidence in you, and that's it. And then Dewey goes to the hospital, later on, and he gets killed. Well, then Sydney gets the phone call from Gale at this point because Dewey already called her and she said no. So now Gale's calling saying Dewey's dead. He's been killed by Ghostface. And then now Sydney says, "Oh no, all right. That's it. I'm coming back." And she, leaves her kids with her husband. She comes back to Woodsboro because all the scenes we've seen with Sydney and Gale, she looks so determined, man. I'm telling you, when she like in this last one of those last TV spots where she's telling so Melissa Barrera's character Sam, she's like, "So let me get this straight. You want me to help you and a morning talk show host commit murder?" And they're like, "Yeah, pretty much." And I mean, and then there's a scene. There's another one that she says. Remember, Sydney goes, "I want you to help us. I want you to help us kill him, and then I'm not going to leave until he's in the ground." I mean, she is on a passionate mission to kill Ghostface. Why? Because Ghostface killed Dewey. It's like her older brother. He he was her protector in a lot of ways on those other movies, or he tried to be. He really cared about her. They really loved one another like brother and sister. And so what that's why she's on fire. That's why she's so determined that she's going to put this dude in the ground. Whoever this person is, they're going down. So that's my theory on that. Now, Gale. So okay, we'll talk about Gale. In fact, someone I don't remember who right now, but someone asked in one of the comments of my videos, would I talk more about Gale? So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So all right, Gale, I believe is not going to die in this movie. the only way I think Gale dies in this movie is if Courtney Cox, explicitly said to Radio Silence and the team, the only way I will come back one more time is if you kill my character. That Gale has to die in this movie. Now, if an actor says they want to die and that's the condition of their return, then kind of like, oh, all bets are off because we're working under the assumption that the actors want to be there, and they want to continue to be there. But we don't know, guys, what they want. Remember in Scream 4, Courtney Cox, she wanted to be killed off in Scream 4, and Wes basically told her no, no, and he convinced her to go along with not being killed because they were supposed to start a new trilogy. Remember, it was going to be a new Wes Craven trilogy, and unfortunately, we didn't get the 5 and 6. But if Gale or Courtney approached this film and said, "I'll come back, but you have to kill me," and like no negotiating, I'm not going to come back in 6. I want this character. She's done all she can do. I'm done. I'm just tired of being Gale. And then if that was the case, then okay, now you have to put her on the table as being a possible death, and and they could kill both of them. They could literally wipe out Dewey and Gale and leave us just with Sydney. I think Sydney, just real quick about Sydney, there is nothing there is no way anyone will ever convince me she's dead in this movie. They are not going to kill her. She is she is the safest person in this entire film. Because Sam could get killed. I don't even trust that Sam is the final girl. I still think and I mentioned in the video earlier, I think there's still a decent percentage chance that she's not even going to be the final girl. She's going to be a Ghostface killer. And all these scenes that we see of her in the trailer when she's in Stu's house with the knife, that she's unmasked. And that's actually unmasked as a Ghostface. We'll see. But my point is, Sydney is not going to be killed. If Radio Silence kills Sydney, this will be it would just be the worst possible move, man. You will lose. The internet would melt down on all the horror channels. Let me just put it that way. It would not be the kind of response that the Radio Silence is looking for in their first film in the Scream franchise, because they're trying to build this thing up to continue. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Sydney, guys. That I can't say it's impossible that she won't die, but I can just tell you that I feel personally that is suicide for Radio Silence. You don't resurrect the franchise after 10 years and you kill the person who the entire franchise is built around. That is just horrible move. So Sydney is completely safe. There is no part of my mind that ever sees her in any real danger. She'll get hurt. I don't doubt it. She may even get shot. She may get stabbed. She's not going to die. But Gale and Dewey now we're on a different level. I think Dewey is more likely the one that we're going to lose. And I think Gale could be lost. Gale, I'm going to put Gale at 50-50. So that's where I'm at on Gale. I think it's 50-50 chance that she dies. And the chance that we lose Dewey and Gale, I think that's that's low. I think that's like maybe 20% at the most. Maybe 80. I think it's more like 80% chance that we're not going to see both of them die. So those are my thoughts, Alex, on that particular question. So, all right, very good. All right, Nick, how creative and how your content? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. How much misdirection do you believe goes into the trailers? A lot, a whole lot of misdirection. And what's interesting is that we even heard it from Radio Silence's own mouth in their interview they did back in October or September. And when Chad, part of the team, one of the producers of Scream, he was like, this trailer is very, very, he used it twice, very, very deceptive and is filled with misdirection. And he said things that you see in this trailer that you think are spoilers are probably not spoilers, even though you think they are. And so, Nick, there is a ton of misdirection going on here. And I will tell you that I think here's the reason why. I think that so much of what we see and have seen is not going to be in the movie, or not in the way that you may think, because we have three I what I believe are three things happening. We've got Scream 5, right? I mean, I'm calling it Scream 5. I know it's not, but that's what I'm calling it, because that's what it is to me. It is we have Scream 5 storyline. So we have the Ghostface killers, because I think there'll be at least two. You have the Ghostface killers, and you have the attacks that are happening, and the whole story of Scream 5. So that's going on. Then we have scenes from Stab, whatever number. If it's Stab 8, if it's Stab 9, 10, 11, 12, who knows, right? It's been 10 years. So it could be Stab 12, 12, 13. But point is, we know there's going to be Stab footage because they purchased the rights for Stab as well as Scream. The studio did. So they own Spyglass, and Paramount own the rights to Stab. So you're not going to spend all that money just to sit on it and not do anything with it. So I really believe that there's going to be Stab movie footage inside of the film. And one of the new images that came out, and I wish I had loaded it up to show you guys. I might do that in a minute, but I don't want to detract from the live stream. But there's a picture that's just come out recently that shows them on the couch again. Like in the living room where they're all talking. Dewey is there, and Wes, and Sam and Richie. They're all there. Well, anyway, on the coffee table, there's like popcorn and some fruit, and then on the front of the table, there's two Blu-ray cases, and you can look at if you look at it real close. The Blu-ray case is for Stab. It's one of the Stab movies. So we know there's Stab footage in this movie. So some of the scenes that we're seeing, and what's jumping out here is the let me show you here. I'll just show you this one. I did have this one loaded up here. Let me see where it's at. Bear with me, guys. I want to get it for you. Here we go. Yeah, this bad boy right here. Let me hide this comment for a second. Yeah, there you go. That beautiful picture that I posted in my Christmas video earlier today. The best image we've had yet of that glorious silver metallic mask. And I have to tell you guys, I firmly believe at this point, unless something comes out between now and the movie's release that changes my mind, right now my view is that we are seeing right here a ghost face attack in Stab 8, 9, 10, whatever, the next Stab movie. And when you combine the ghost face mask of metal with a sleeveless armed robe, and let's throw in a flamethrower on top of it, that's pretty over the top, and it would fit right in to a Stab movie. It just it makes sense. So I really do believe that what we're seeing there is Stab footage. So there's footage from there that's in the trailer that I don't believe is what we think it is. And finally, there's also footage that in this movie, or in these trailers, I should say, that I believe are coming from a fan film from the Woodsboro Horror Movie Club. Remember, they started the Facebook page on the very first marketing items that came out. And I believe now that what we're seeing, and there's multiple instances of this. If you look at the Chad attack, we have Chad walking up to Stu's house with his phone out, and he's like, Liv, where are you, Liv? And it shows his phone, and it's pinging to Liv, and it shows that Liv is right behind him, right? And then he turns around, and bam, there's Ghostface attacking. And then just a few seconds later, they show us Chad where he's like limping, and then all of a sudden, Ghostface burst open the shed doors and is running after him full speed behind from the shed, and runs up and stabs him what looks to be in the back or in the shoulder. So I was like, wait a second. Obviously, those are two different attacks. He's attacked two times, because he's attacked over here with Ghostface right behind him, looking when he had his phone in his hand, and then another Ghostface pops up in the shed. That's two different Ghostface killers. So either that's real footage from the movie, which is awesome, because we could be seeing our very first ever two Ghostface killers attacking one victim at the same time. That's never been done in full costume. That's either what's happening or we are seeing footage from a Woodsboro fan film. They're making their own horror film. And so they're out there posing, they're doing their shots and their scenes. And who's to say that, like, whenever he turns around and he has his phone and Liv, he's looking for Liv and then she attacks him. How do we not know that the next thing they say is cut, right? And then you see the guys, someone there with the camera filming everything. That it could certainly be the case. We have another instance about this. I did a video on this week, or earlier this week, where we have Tara being attacked from two different spots in her house. If you guys haven't seen that video, you'll see it. It's I think I called it more misdirection or something like that. And you'll see the thumbnail. Basically what in the summary of the video is that, and I show you the footage and how it's different. There's one attack where Tara is backing up from the front door, and the thing's going, doors unlocked and all that stuff's going on, and she's backing up, and then all of a sudden Ghostface pops up from behind an open door, right, where it's like a hall, it's dark, so it's either a hallway or a room, and he grabs her. Well, there's another scene that was in one of the TV ads from Spain, I believe, or Brazil, one of those two, and there is a different attack. She's being attacked not from behind there in the foyer, like by where the front door is, the hallway, but in this one, she's being attacked in the kitchen in the same way. And there's a hallway behind her. It's black and you can't see it. And Ghostface comes up and grabs his arm around her. And this time, his Ghostface, he puts his head on the right side of her face over here. And in the other attack, when it's in the hallway, his head's on this side of her. And so it's two different attacks. They are not the same. And the second one, where he comes around on this side, you see an entire refrigerator door. It's like stainless steel fridge. So it's obvious she's in the kitchen. It's like there's not even a question of that. And the attack earlier, she's backing up from the front door, remember? So, guys, I'm telling you, there is so much misdirection going on. And so, again, what's happening with Tara? Is she being attacked again? Are we going to see a theme, guys, in the movie of dual Ghostface killings? Is this something that we're going to see a lot of? Is this a new wrinkle Radio Silence is putting in, where almost every attack scene you see a duo? Like we know up front it's a duo instead of finding out at the end. Because that's two attacks that, if those are actual Scream 5 footage, not fan film footage, not stab footage, if they're really Scream 5 footage, we have instances of two characters being attacked twice in the same setting, but different. So think about that. Let that one sink in. That's that'll get your mind going. So, Nick, a bunch of misdirection. Yeah, I think so. I hear you, David. Man, I am so pumped too. We're under 3 weeks. It's killing me. I know. I completely understand. All right, Chad says, I have a strong feeling they will kill Mindy and save Chad. Yeah, I mean, I think it's different. I mean, look, it could be, right? Of course, it could certainly be, because we just don't have a lot of information yet. I think we're all doing the very best we can do with what we have, but we just don't have a lot. So we have to really think it through and kind of connect dots. And what's the great part of all this is that we're trying to connect these dots and make everything work. And then we go to watch the movie and we find out half of what we've been watching is not even in the movie. It's like just they're outtakes. They're like deleted scenes, or they're fan footage film scenes, and like, oh man, it'll just blow everything up. And that's what I hope happens. I would love nothing more than to go into this movie confident of a certain thing, although I'm not real confident in a whole lot, and that's good. But really having an idea of what's going to happen, and they completely blow it up in my face. And I would just, man, if that happens, I will be ecstatic. Oh my gosh. Hey, Rocky's in the house. Hello, I'm watching from the Philippines. Wow, that's fantastic. Welcome. All right, Sleek's in the house. Well, that's why she has problems. She has to cope with the fact that her dad's a serial killer. Maybe, yeah. I mean, that could be, man. Yeah, because we know that. Remember, we know that Sam is having some type of psychological issues or problems or mental health problems that she's working with. And we finally, and because I had been speculating for a long time, even before I started this channel, I was already speculating that I wondered if we're going to see Sam have hallucinations, because if she's wrestling with reality and perceiving what is real and what is not, then that opens up so many doors and things that could happen. Well, that last one of those TV ads, I say one of them because there's 50 of them. It seems like there's like 14, I think. It was ridiculous, in a good way, not a ridiculous bad, but just like it's insane trying to remember all of it. But anyway, I did a video on it in one of those ads where she's in the break room at the hospital and she's getting water from the sink, and she raises up and looks in the mirror and there's Ghostface right behind her, and then she turns around and he's not there. So it was she saw it in her head. So we finally got that visual confirmation that in the movie Sam is at least going to have some issues with reality, um and that she's on medication for that. So yeah, I think so. Arthur believes she's Billy's sister. Yeah, I think it's a real possibility, man. Yeah, I do. Kimmy says to be the beloved final girl that Sydney was, Sam will have to be written to be sympathetic and likable. Exactly. To both male. Yes, agreed. Yeah, you nailed it, Kimmy. I mean, that's really true. It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, how it has to be the writing has to be strong. It has to be it has to be like you said here. I mean, you said it well. Yeah, we have to have sympathy, empathy for her. We have to care about her. We have to, after watching her for like 45 minutes or whatever into the movie, we need to already be in like, okay, I'm still getting to know you, but man, I'm really liking you like as a character. Like, I'm really liking this person. And I agree. 100%. That's what's gonna have to happen. Yeah. Oh, Marion, what do we got? No, Craven. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble with Marion. Uh-oh. Hmm. They've done the blood relative thing to death already. It is kind of a Scream tradition, isn't it? How about someone connected by association? I mean, yeah, sure. I'm not opposed to that. I mean, here's the thing. What I want, I'm a Legacy fan. You guys who've been following me on the channel for a little bit, I have said it before and I'll say it again. I saw Scream 1996, the original Scream, in the theaters, guys. I was there in January of 1997. That movie impacted me so much. I still remember the theater I went to. I still remember that night. I remember how I felt watching it. I remember how I felt in certain scenes. I still can recall them. I remember how I felt when I was walking out of the theater to my car or my vehicle, and just thinking how I had seen something really special. I've just seen something that is so different and so fresh that it was so unexpected. And man, I just was sitting there thinking, Wes frigging Craven is all I could say. The guys, man, just a masterful filmmaker. And so I said all that to say the key to this movie for me, as someone who literally has been there from the first film and every film I've seen in the theater since then. I mean, I was there all the way through it, and I'm sure a lot of you, have been there as well. But my point of it is, for me, there has to be a connection to the past that is so compelling and so unique and strong that for me to feel this reveal, I'm talking now, I'm going to kind of talk about the reveal. Whatever the reveal is, it has got to be, we know it's connected to Scream 1. right? We're going back to Stu's house. Look, they're not going to put us back in Stu's house for again for no reason. All of this has is intentional. It all has purpose. So for me, uh, the reason the blood thing is so powerful is because it really does take you back to full circle moments. And I've talked about full circle moments in the past, how, if Stu was the mastermind, if he survived, as Wes Craven had intended him originally to survive the attacks of Scream 1. So I've always said that since if Stu was alive and Wes Craven, in his mind, then he's alive in mine. I mean, I accept that. I'm not going to question that. Wes Craven had a way to do it, and he had a story for it. So my point is, if Stu really did live, and I think he did, then that would be one of those moments where if there was a blood relation to Stu, man, could you imagine if Sam is, for example, Sam is a mocker, you know, or even the Loomis, even if and Stu is, coming back to avenge and all this. There's all kinds of ways you could write a story about it. And I've even mentioned it in some of the videos, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. But I'm okay with the blood thing. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Some are probably like, oh, we've done that a lot. They've done that a lot, but I don't have a problem with it. Just me personally. But I'm also okay if they do it by association. That's fine too. All right, let me pick up here a little bit on the comments. I'm a little bit behind, so let me uh, let me try to catch up. Thanos. What's Tara's secret? I would like to see a cliffhanger since the 6 is already confirmed. Yeah, a cliffhanger would be great. And as I mentioned earlier, I think that a 6 is pretty much a done deal as well. The only way we don't get that 6th movie is if this movie is an absolute disaster. I mean, I think it would have to be so bad, um, and it would have to perform so bad as well that the studio is just like, nope, not doing that again. But I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think it's going to be the complete opposite. So, yeah, I think we're getting a 6. I think that it's pretty safe bet if they want to do the cliffhanger ending. This would be a cool way or a cool time to do it, because I think that it's going to happen. We're getting that 6th movie. It would really stink though if we don't get that 6th movie, man. Oh dang. That's the worst in on a cliffhanger, and you never get resolution. Scream TV season 2. Thank you very much. If any of you have seen that, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Lydia asks, "Do you think that Scream 5 will live up to the hype it's getting?" Yeah, I do. I sure do. I think it will. I hope it will, but I do think it will. Yeah. I think I've seen enough from Radio Silence and the interviews, the actors, the legacy especially, and from Kevin Williamson. I mean, his response to this movie alone gives me such confidence and such hope. And seeing him at the end of that Wes Craven tribute that they put out on the 20th to honor Wes Craven's memory, and when he's at the very end and he's like literally in tears and he can barely even talk, because of how much he was affected by this film and how much it honored Wes and that was dedicated to him. Guys, all of those things give me like such confidence. It just increases my confidence more and more and more, because it just adds credibility to everything that's going on. So yeah, I think it will. Let's see. Yeah, Valerie. Yeah, yeah. Valerie says, I don't think we'll get another trailer since we got all those little kips. I mean, it's possible we won't get another trailer, but here's the thing: the trailer's done. Why not? The trailer has already been done. It's been approved. It's been rated. It's been approved to be shown in theaters. They have it. It's like literally sitting there in a computer, and it's just waiting to be sent out, and just click play. It's like they've got the trailer. So Valerie, I mean, you may end up being right. Maybe they just took that 2.5 minute trailer and they just chopped it up into like 12 pieces, and put all these little TV spots. But I'm gonna hold the fire. I'm gonna hold the torch that we're still getting it. I think we're gonna get it. Yeah. Let's see. All right, Marion's got a great question here. What are your thoughts on Radio Silence putting the entire cloak of invisibility on Martha? Yeah, they. I think it's interesting. I believe that Radio Silence has some surprises for us. I really do. I'm not going to get crazy and say like, we're going to see Angelina and we're going to see Jill and we're going to see Kirby and we're going to, you know, start going down the list, right? But we know that Joel's coming back, the cameraman from Scream 2, right? The one who left the campus and then came back at the end. He's going to be in it. So why not? And Martha Meeks, we know, was there because Melissa Barrera took a picture of her on her Instagram when they were in North Carolina filming. So we know, here's what we know. We know Martha Meeks at least was there when they were filming, that they've got something filmed with her. And I know there was a rumor that started coming out a couple of weeks ago that Martha Meeks, and again, it was a rumor, guys, it's not confirmed. But the rumor was said that they decided to cut her part out, that it was a small part in the movie and they just cut it. Nobody knows. My thing is this. If they're really trying to give us that fan service, if you will, for the legacy fans, and then of course they also are bringing a new movie, but they're trying to do both. And I think they're just trying to keep it under wraps. They don't want it out there. That's why that they immediately deleted the Instagram. Like Melissa Barrera, like a minute it came out, like a minute later, literally, I'm talking 60 seconds, 90 seconds later, it was gone. So someone at the studio saw that. Someone saw it and said, get that thing down now. So I do believe that, and look, Chad and Mindy, her children, are in it. I mean, so it just makes sense. If they're going to have them in it, bring the mom back, bring Martha back. Let us see Martha again. So I think it's a surprise that they have for us. I think there's going to be more of it. I think there's going to be more surprises, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But I think that she's going to be in it, even if it is a small role. Let's see. Can you create a Telegram group for Scream fans for this movie? A Telegram group? Okay. You guys, I'm going to be completely transparent. I have no idea what that is. You're probably thinking, "Oh, dude, what are you talking about? You don't know." Tell me more about that, and let me know if I'm just missing something. I probably am. But hold on a second. Wait, I hear something. Wait a second. I hear a knock at the door, but this is not Christmas Eve. This is Christmas night. But I think we've got a guest knocking on the door. Hold up. Could it be? Wait a second. Could it be? Is it possible? Oh my gosh.
What's up?
Fate decided, just hopping in. What's happening? Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. What's going on?
Oh, man, we have been kicking back, talking Scream 5, hanging out on Christmas night. And, I decided, hey, why not have an impromptu?
Yeah.
Just why not? The day's winding down. It's getting late. But I was like, let's just jump in and do this. And so we're having a good time, man. We've just been talking Scream 5 for like almost an hour now, having a good time. So,
well, it's good to hear. So you've been on for an hour. I just like caught it real quick. I was wrapping up and I was like, all right, I'll join real quick. I was like, why not? Let's give everyone a little Christmas. Little Christmas cheer.
A little Christmas cheer. Some surprise. Another surprise here. Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I see the chat. Everyone's showing some love. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Fates. Right. Yeah, man. We got half of the collective right here on Christmas night.
That's true. Let's answer some questions. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Okay. It's funny. I'm a little bit behind in the chat. I'm way behind. I'm looking at what time it is and where I'm at. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up a question, Fate.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to let you take this one first. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of catch up in the chat a little bit, and that will give me an opportunity to do that. And I know your position on this, but I think it's going to be interesting for everyone to hear it.
All right.
And then I will give my 2 cents after you give your thoughts. So here's the question. It's popping in here from Metaverse Man. So I know you thought it's up before, but can we discuss the possibility of Dewey as a killer? It needs to be very shocking to come close to the first reveal. Each movie he brings Sid to the scene. So, and just Fate, so you know a little bit, I already spoke a little earlier about my thoughts that I didn't talk about killers, but I talked about how I do believe that we're going to lose Dewey in the movie, that he is going to be the OG3, that they're setting us up pretty much to be ready for it. So my thoughts already have been, I've already shared that I think he's going to be killed in the movie, probably like the halfway mark, and that's what brings Sid to town. So those are my thoughts I shared with the group earlier, but I didn't address anything about being a killer and stuff. And Meta and I have had to have discussions a lot on my videos, and he really talks a lot about this theory. And I told him, I said, man, let's talk about it on a live stream because it's just a lot easier. And so I'm glad he brought it up. So Fate, I'll let you take that for now, and then I'll come in and wrap it up when you're done.
Sounds like a plan. Well, first off, I personally love the Dewey theory. Even the Gale theory. I think you can make an argument for both. They make a ton of sense. There have been scenes and moments throughout the Scream franchise that make sense for that argument. Like you can piece it together. Like I guess you could say it's sort of evidence because you can kind of make it evidence. But if I'm being honest, I don't think they'll ever go that route. Not maybe Wes. I could see maybe Wes doing something like that because he could get away with that. Wes Craven is somebody that because he built these characters, he is Scream in so many ways that I think that he could get away with it. But being these new producers and new writers, new directors, new studio, new everything, I just don't think they can take that big of a risk because you're going to have a lot of people that are really upset. A lot of people that are going to feel like that sort of is spiting Wes's character. Because you got to think, Wes spent, 4 movies building these characters. And I just don't think that they're going to change that route. I do think Dewey dies, and I do think that he is going to be sort of the catalyst for Sidney.
I agree, 100%.
I think, we've talked about it on different chats before where, I think Dewey, we see this phone call to Sid. I think he makes the same phone call to Gale. That Gale comes because 1, she has her show, so it's probably good for her show. 2, I think she still loves Dewey. I mean, we got that interview with Courtney Cox where she said, she's struggling with the effects of the breakup and stuff like that, regardless. So I think that's going to be sort of her reasoning. It's going to be multi factors as to why she returns. And then I think Sydney's just going to kind of be on standby, prepares, but finds out Dewey dies. And then that brings her to Woodsboro. And then we see the Gale and Sydney team up. They tag up together to take down Ghostface. And I think that's very likely how it's going to play out. I think just going off of what we've seen, what we know, I think, we'll likely get Gale and Sydney sprinkled in moments. But I think the bulk of their screen time, especially Sydney, is going to be on the back end. I think we'll mostly get Sydney, like the later half of the film.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
So I think that kind of like Scream 3, Scream 3, Sydney was sprinkled in throughout, seen here and there. But for the most part, it was the back end of the film where we really got to see her scenes. And I think they're going to go something similar to that. And then as far as like Dewey bringing Sydney to everywhere, I mean, I would need a little more elaboration on that because, like, what do you mean by that? Because, like, so Scream 1, I've seen people make the argument like, well, yeah, Dewey took Sydney to the party. Yeah, but that he took Sydney and Tatum because they were going to go to the party regardless. It's not like Dewey was like, oh, hey, there's a party. Let me take you to this party type. Like Dewey didn't even know about the party. Likely, he took them there because they were going to drink and stuff. And he doesn't want Tatum driving drunk. He's a cop. It's his sister, that kind of thing. Scream 2. I mean, Dewey went to Windsor. Dewey didn't take Sydney anywhere. Same thing with Scream 3. Dewey didn't even want Sydney to come to Hollywood. Dewey was adamant about not bringing Sydney to Hollywood, but then Kincaid was like, do you want to go to jail for obstruction of justice? Why don't you do your job? People are dying. If you don't do that, then I'll make sure you go away for it type thing. So he had no choice but to call Sydney and bring Sydney back. And then Scream 4, Sydney came to Woodsboro before the attacks ever even happened. So, I mean, the whole, Dewey brought Sydney everywhere, and he's kind of been the one that it doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. It's illogical because it's actually the opposite. If anything, Sydney has been bringing Dewey to all these places, and so I don't believe that route. Another key point, because I've seen many people say this, and I think even Metaverse has commented on my videos about it too. And he's not the only one, or he or she, whichever one. It says man, so I'm assuming he. But they're not the only one. I've gotten tons of comments of people that are like, "Well, why didn't Dewey? We never saw Dewey, mourn or be upset over Tatum." And it's like, when were we supposed to see that? Tatum died at the party. Dewey wasn't even around. He comes back to the house. Everything ensues. He gets stabbed. He's laying dead in the front porch. He probably doesn't even really know Tatum is completely a gunner. And even if he does, when is he gonna have time to react to that? And then you have a whole 2-year gap between 1 and 2. It's very likely they already had the funeral. They already did all that stuff. Like, when is Dewey supposed to mourn Tatum?
Right. Well, I mean, that's a good point, because we never see Dewey find Tatum, because whenever when he went, he told Gale, go to the van, use the phone, whatever, and and he pulled his gun. He goes in the front. We see him, and then, he's got his gun pulled out. He looks terrified. The Halloween music's playing, and then the next time we see Dewey is when he's coming out the front door with the knife in his back.
Yeah.
So, and remember, the garage is on the right side of the house. So he would have had no reason to go even over there. So he probably didn't even know she was dead.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly. Yeah. That's my point. Exactly. There's no evidence showing that he knew until after the events of Scream 4. And then not just that, but you got to think he was likely in the hospital for who knows how long, recovering, stuff like that. And then, again, there's a 2-year gap. So who's to say he didn't mourn her? He didn't break down. He didn't cry. After Scream 1 and we pick up in Scream 2, there is no, like, what is he going to do? Just randomly bring up, oh yeah, it's, remember when my sister Tatum died, stuff like that, and like, who's to say that they don't have a reference in Scream 5? What if there is a moment where he's reminiscing over Gale and looks at a picture of Tatum or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just, and that's something that I get all the time. I see people all the time that are like, well, Dewey, like, why wouldn't Dewey, mourn his sister? And it's like, who's to say he did it? Just because we didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I mean, there's tons of things we haven't seen. That doesn't mean that happened. I mean, Sydney having kids, we didn't see that, but it happened.
And dude, the last time we see Dewey is when he's in the going into the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then the next time we see him is 2 years later.
Exactly.
And so here's a question that Mega Giant. Just to throw my 2 cents on that. Thanks for taking that one, Fate. Appreciate it. So as far as Dewey being the killer, I just don't see it at all. And I don't think there's any way. This is my own opinion, of course, naturally, but I don't think there's any way any of the OG3 are killers. They're just it would be, in my book. Here's how I cash out. Right, we hear radio silence saying how they're honoring Wes, they're honoring the legacy. Well, that includes honoring who these characters are. And when you think of how these characters were built, and their arc for all these first 4 films, to make any of them a killer, you could say, well, they snapped, they couldn't take what. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could try to make it work, but I believe that if you didn't do that, I personally would be so disappointed, because it would be like betraying who these people are, especially Dewey, because he's the most good-hearted. Well, Sydney too, but he's so kind-hearted. He's such a protector. He wants to, and he's like Sydney's older brother. And to look back and see that all of those movies were lies, that he was manipulating her through 4 movies, it would completely change how we watched them again. We would never, we would never watch those movies again the same way. And I just don't see any way possible that you do that. You just don't. So I rule that out in my mind as a possibility. I said that's not going to happen. So those are my thoughts to tag in.
It's also brazen enough just to kill one of them.
It is totally.
And to I mean, that takes some grojones right there
It
to
does.
kill one of the legacy three.
Yep.
You know, and so I just don't see them doing that. Like I don't see like
No.
it would cause too much backlash. And yeah, of course, we all want them to take risks and do something different and add some surprise and some shock. But you know, there's a
Good
right
shock.
way. Yeah, yeah. But that's what I was gonna say. There's a right way and a wrong way to go about that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's one of
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense from a story standpoint. I just don't
Mhm.
think that they would
Right.
ever run that
No.
risk. And then I also saw in the chat that they said, well, you know, it doesn't. Why wouldn't he want revenge? Why didn't he? I mean, they were already dead. You know, like Billy and Stu killed his sister. Like, so who is he going to take revenge on? You know,
Right.
it's not. They're already dead by the time he's out of the hospital. You know, so it's like, you know, I know you think Stu's still alive, but
Well, Stu's still
I'm
still
saying,
alive, but
I'm saying
but
from
even but he's in prison at that point anyway. So you can't like you can't get revenge on him,
yeah,
and he's locked up.
yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
yeah. Either way, like you
yeah. Either
can't like.
way,
There's nothing you could do to like. What are you gonna do? Like,
right?
you know, you're gonna kill other people to take revenge for like that doesn't make any sense. Like, you know,
No,
we have to. I mean, I'm all for like theories and stuff like that, but we gotta be reasonable. You know,
right.
we gotta be
I say
somewhat realistic.
somewhat. Megastar, I mean Mega Giant. Excuse me. My man Mega says, who do you think is more suspect as far as being a ghost face, Wes or Richie? Wow. Okay, so Fate. Since I've got you on here as my guest
Yeah.
here, as an impromptu guest, I'll let you start, and I'll finish that.
So, from the information we know, Wes. I mean, even not the most recent little trailer, but I think it was like the second or third one we got recently. You see, Wes is like the tech guy. You know, he's telling everyone, you know, cover your cameras, do this, do that,
Yeah.
you know, delete your social medias, all that stuff. Where Richie, I even made a video about it. Richie makes 0 sense. And I actually have another video I want to sort of expand more on Richie. I'll probably get it up tomorrow, or the next day. But anyway, just Richie from us. Like, we don't even know if Richie's ever even been to Woodsboro. Like like he met Sam in another town when Sam went away, and she's been gone for at least a year because we know that because of Two Brash Sarah. Two Brash Sarah said, "Oh, I saw last year, you know, Sam, and now I haven't seen her since." So we already have like a little bit of a timeline, a little bit of a gap for that. And then, you know, Richie, there's too many coincidences that would need to take place for Richie to make sense. And I'm not, and who knows? I mean, granted, we have very little information to go off.
Right.
Of. So obviously
Sure.
they can make it make sense as the film goes on. But as of right now, what we know, I mean, who's to say Sam would have went to that town that Richie was in? Who's to say that Sam would work at the place that Richie was working at? Who's to say that Sam would even fall in love with Richie, even if she did go to that town and that spot? You know, like,
Right.
and then, you know, if Richie was from Woodsboro, don't you think that Sam would have known that? I mean, she grew up in Woodsboro. It's a small town that we're not talking LA or New York. We're talking a tiny town where everyone knows everybody type thing. Like, so Richie just doesn't make sense. So Wes, and plus Wes, obviously, you know, he's clearly named after Wes Craven. But besides that, he is arguably, him and Jack are arguably the two biggest male actors in this film, like newer cast. Right. So I really think one of them is either going to be Ghostface or they're going to be the final guy. Which it could be one is Ghostface, one is the final guy. You know what I mean? Like, take your pick. And then because you would think they would want a bigger name to kind of carry on the franchise, you know, with likely Melissa Barrera and maybe Jenna Ortega. You know, because you need replacements for the OG3. And then, you know, I personally think one of the Meeks twins will live.
I do too.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's Mindy.
I do
and well, yeah. So and also, which is public information as well, they did do a test screening with Mindy both alive and dead. It was actually like a published article, and now what that outcome is and what like they did the same thing with Dewey.
They did.
And his character. So this isn't like some revelation that's like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. Like they've done that for several characters. They did it for Randy, they did it for Dewey, they did it in Scream 2, they did it with Derek and several other characters. So I mean, it makes sense that they would do that. So but most likely we'll get the Randy type character, which I think will be Mindy to carry over. So that would likely give us probably 4 characters survive into the next film.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it will be Mindy as well. And Wes, I'm hoping he survives because I he's named after Wes Craven, so I mean, sentimental reasons, I guess, a lot of it too. You know, I want to see him going on. But if he's not going to go on, then I want to see him be the most vicious, brutal Ghostface killer we've seen in a long time. That I would, I wanted to go one way or the other, but I hope he lives and goes on. And as far as Richie goes, guys, I mean, they're making him up to be Billy 2.0. They want us to. They're dressing him the same. It's it's just you're getting the whole vibes here. And I know Fate, you had an interview the other day, and we talked about it how as well that he's kind of gives you more Derek feelings than Billy.
Just personality-wise.
Personality, yeah.
He's not like Billy was very brash. He was very
much.
He pressured Sydney a lot. He wasn't very sensitive to her feelings. Like Richie seems like, like the oh, it's okay, everything will be fine. Like how Derek.
Care.
And real quick to touch on, because you like Wes and you want him to survive, right? But wouldn't the Wes Craven thing, and we talked about this in the Lethal Collective episode, but for those that didn't see it, don't you think that like the Wes Craven thing to do would be to kill Wes? I mean, Wes Craven would likely probably kill his own character in the opening scene, because people would see that and go, oh, it's named after Wes Craven, he's gonna live till the end.
He's the Drew Barrymore of this movie.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I mean, I don't know one way or another if he's gonna live or survive, but it is kind of the West thing to do, is to like kill him in like a dramatic fashion.
Right. That's true. I agree. I mean, and so I won't be surprised by any of these outcomes. What's so awesome is that we're talking about like 3 different outcomes potentially here, and they could all equally go that way. Like it could be any of these scenarios, and none of them will surprise me. I'd be like, okay, I can see that happening, and I think that I agree with Fate on this one. As far as who I think is more likely to be Ghostface, I think probably is Wes, and his mom is Judy Hicks, and I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna go into that theater convinced she's got some hand in this. And I don't know, I mean, I may be wrong, but at the end of the day, she may get killed and it's over. But I'm telling you, man, they didn't bring Judy Hicks back, I don't think, to be a throwaway kill. Why do that, man? I mean, I just don't see it.
I don't either. I mean, I've been very open about how I think Judy is very likely to be involved to some degree, because she's the only one that has connections to 96. I mean, I've made the argument countless times on my channel, in our live streams, and basically every opportunity I've had to say I think Judy is involved. But I think so. To be fair, and I had a conversation in my comment section with somebody about this, and I did say, if I'm going to be honest and we're going to be fair, they kind of didn't have a choice but to bring Judy back. Because this film takes place in Woodsboro. She was a deputy in Woodsboro, and she was one of the few that survived Scream 4, like undoubtedly survived Scream 4. So I think if she was like Kirby, where her, many people think her fate is up in the air, even though Kevin Williamson confirmed that she's dead. But for a long time, people had her fate up in the air. I think if Judy's was the same way, I don't think Judy would be in this film. But I think they didn't have a choice but to bring her back in. But I think the fact that you are bringing her back in, you might as well have some significance to her. You might as well just.
Yeah, you should.
Why bring her back just to have a throwaway character? Because she's not that significant. She's not. I mean, we knew her from one stage. She was a little weird. She's a little off, a little sus. She's connected to 96, but she wasn't this well built up iconic character that if they killed her, it's shocking. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that.
Fate. Look, let's be real. Yeah. Judy Hicks is famous for 2 things: lemon squares and for the creepy upstairs scene with Sydney, right? I mean,
It's true.
if you take that out, really, we're not really talking about her. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the connection. And that's really what, yeah. So it's funny because we got a question here from Jazz that ties in, saying, "Do you think we're going to get a lot of mention of the events of Scream 4? Or are we going to get a gloss over? It feels like teams are going on with it." I'll tell you that my thought is it's not going to be a lot of time spent on it. I
Yeah.
think that the history's there. I think the town's history is there. What I expect to see, and I've said this a few times, but I believe that we will get a reference to it in some form or fashion, like a news article. Like they'll be pulling up articles online, like archives, and they're like, this is happening again. What can we learn from the past? And they, pull up, Woodsboro murders, and it talks about Jill Roberts, and just you see her picture or something, or there's some
Yeah.
mention of her, or Dewey has a death as a suspect board in his house, and researching old articles, he pulls out the stuff, and there's a mention of the Scream 4 murders. I personally, I don't know, Fate, I don't know if you and I've talked directly about this before, but I think that's about the extent of it. I don't think there's going to be any other real need to mention much more about those events.
Yeah, I think I don't think they're gonna go like crazy in depth into it. I think it'll be something light. I mean, maybe even just a conversation.
Right.
The scene where they're Dewey's explaining the rules and stuff and all that stuff. That could be a scene which he says like even 10 years ago with Jill, like and you
Right.
just kind of get a brush over. I
Yeah.
hope that they do make at least some reference to it. I
I
hope they
do
don't just
too.
completely brush over because there's a lot
Yeah.
up in the air because when Scream 4 ended, Jill was a hero. I mean,
Yeah.
to us and to the main character, she was, but to the media and the news outlets, everyone was talking, and there's even that extended cut where,
Right.
the reporters like, man, this girl's life is going to change. She has no idea, like
Yep.
all that stuff. So, I mean, she was held as a heroine, at
Right.
the end of that film. And so we need something. I mean, yeah, it's been 10 years,
Yeah.
but even just a quick, like you said, like a news article saying, hero turns out to be a villain or something like that. So where
Right.
we just
Yeah.
okay, like we have
Yep.
the proof we needed.
That's right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it's going to be much more than that at all. No, I think they want to get on with this new story. They got an hour and 45 minutes of story time to
Yeah.
try to get this stuff going, and these characters are established.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. It's got to be
so they're
quick.
going to be focused on that. Let's take a look here. What else? I'm still scrolling. Now, David, you're my man, David. You know that.
Dewey's
But
mastermind.
David says Dewey's the mastermind. Hands okay, dude. So he's all in, man. All right, David, that's cool, man. Hot take, brother. That's all right.
David's in all the theories though. Dewey's the mastermind and Stu's
I,
returning as his
well,
accomplice.
and it's what. Listen, if you're only half right, that ain't bad. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. You just
Debate
got it, Fate.
2.0.
You just got it, Fate. You just got it, didn't you?
Debate 2.0.
Oh, the Ghostface in the house. Could there be a possibility that Vince is the son of the? Yeah, I think absolutely. In fact, I did a whole video on this. It's been a little bit, but yeah, I do. I think that because we know Vince is older, he's in his 20s, and the timeline would work. So if Sydney had conceived that night with Billy from that in Stu's house, then everything matches up on the timeline because we have a 2-year gap between 1 and 2. So if she's pregnant and she goes and she leaves Woodsboro and moves to Ohio, she goes across the country to get away from everything and all the insanity, and how she has Loomis's child. She carries to term. She gives it to adoption at 9 months later. And then a year and a half later, the movie starts back up and she's in college. She started fresh. Randy comes up there to help her, be a supporting system. And so, yeah, absolutely. The son grows up and he comes to find out as he becomes a teenager and gets older. He does research and does ancestry.com and, no, that's not a paid ad, by the way. And he does all this stuff. And then he finds out who his parents were. And he carries the psychopathic DNA in him from Billy. And he's, whatever. He decides to recruit a couple of kids that are up here in Woodsboro. And now those are his Ghostface killers. He's the mastermind. He's hanging around. He gets, he dates Liv. He's always hanging around, blah, blah, blah. So I absolutely am on the side that he could be. And, now I'm not saying he is. Don't run with that, but I'm saying it's possible. And here, if you ever wondered, like, how do I come up with a theory that I think is plausible? And I try to really test my theories before I do these videos. And for me, a theory has to at least be plausible. Doesn't have to be probable. It just has to be like you could play it down a track and it will go there. I can see it getting there from A to B. And so if you look at this if you look at this timeline, it all checks out. You've got Sydney, you've got the 2-year gap, right? So this is a theory that I think that at the very least, even if you don't agree with it, guys, we have to at least say it's plausible.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. Like, so yeah. I've same thing. I've done videos on it in the past. It does make sense. Everything adds up timeline wise, continuity wise, all that stuff. But now that we have the information that we have,
right,
I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I really did. I really thought it was going to be a huge possibility going into this film. But now that we know Sydney has kids,
right,
I don't think they're going to go that route anymore. Because now it kind of gets this dark, morbid, and they already kind of have, like, I mean, there's certain aspects of this film already that you can argue is dark and morbid, like Vince going after high school girls, like that sort of reference to Hollywood,
sleazy.
The sort of dirt bag, like, because he's not some 18, 19-year-old
dating true.
Some senior. He's 23, 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And here's the thing too, that you got to keep in mind. Scream has always done this stuff. I mean, Scream 3 was entirely based around essentially the Weinstein story. I mean, it is.
Isn't that terrible? Though?
It is. It's terrible. You know what's even more terrible is the Weinsteins let it happen. They approved the film. That's what's even more mind blowing. But
do you think there was ever a moment where they're like watching the final cut of that movie and they're like, dang, man, I just,
of course, this is, why? Because one, he thought he'd never get caught, and two, he thought he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, well, that's probably true too. And he probably saw nothing wrong with abusing.
He probably didn't even make the connection. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Harvey probably looked at that and went, "Oh, that's an interesting story. Yeah, Hollywood is like that."
Right. There are people out there like that.
It's
dude.
strange,
hello.
But
and the fact also, Fate. I just gotta say, the fact too that Wes Craven pulled the whole lid or the whole blanket over the Weinsteins and filmed Scream 3 with the two killers and only one reveal.
Yeah,
that was another thing. It went over their heads completely. I just love. I guarantee you, Wes was laughing, saying, "You know what? You're not going to tell me how I'm going to make. I'm Wes friggin' Craven. I'm going to make my movie."
Yeah,
and
he did. Make it. Exactly.
Yes,
absolutely.
I love that.
And but to kind of bring it back is that I just think that I don't think now that Sydney has kids, I don't think they're going to go that route. And I really think Sam is going to be related to Billy. I don't think he's going to be her kid, but I think it's going to be Hank Loomis is the dad. I mean, he was throwing his thing in every girl he could. It wasn't just Maureen. I mean, even his character bio is he's a corrupt lawyer. You know what I mean? He's so I mean, he was a womanizer. He was that stuff.
Sure.
So I think that secret is going to be Sam. Sam is going to be connected to the Loomises. And I think that that's going to be the full circle moment. So, and I don't think they're going to get too crazy with all the relatives and, because I mean, if that is the case, so you have Sam, so then Vince is like a cousin or like a brother, sister, like, you get what I'm saying? Now you're starting to get too convoluted and it's starting to get too crazy and, it's too carried away. But not just that. I mean, you already did that. You did that with Moraine in Scream 3. So.
Something I want to throw in, something that is interesting about that though, is that, and I think, and maybe it's I can get pretty philosophical at times. So I won't try to get too crazy on this, but one thing I like about Sydney and Vince, let's say it doesn't have to be Vince, because remember, it could be Sam, it could be it could be Richie even. Yeah, it could be. So any of those characters, if they did that, what I think is really kind of ironic about it, and what I call full circle, is because Sydney would have given that child up for adoption and done all of those things, not knowing her mom did the same thing with Roman. So it was like she would have done it, but not knowingly. So, you know, it would have been this whole thing where she comes back and her child reveals themselves in the final reveal. And it's like, you're like, oh my gosh. Because what the one thing she always said in Scream One, I'm afraid I'm going to turn out just like my mother.
Yeah.
And
That's the exact same thing that I said in that video that I made a while back. That was exactly my connection. Think about how full circle of a moment that would be.
Yeah. Tell me that wouldn't be a cool thing, though.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And like I said, I love the idea. I for a long time really believed that was the route that they were going to go.
Yeah.
But again, now that we have the information, I got to be honest. I just don't think it's going to happen. You know what I mean? As much as I want it to happen, I just don't think it's going to.
They're making it harder on us now by having her with kids and stuff. That was like, shoot.
Yeah, if she didn't have kids, I could see that happening. Like, just because, like I said, because now you're getting a little dark, you're getting a little, like, and now you're getting a little again convoluted because she has, a kid, maybe 2 or whatever, however many kids she has, with whoever the husband is, which hopefully we get some answer, even if it's just a name, and then now you're going to bring in some long lost child. I'm saying that, like, it gets, now you're starting to get a little convoluted. But yeah,
I tell you, I've just been looking at Metaverse Man and From Pluto. They're having a very fun debate in the comments. This is hilarious, man. You guys are, and you know what I love too is like, and this is so cool because in Fate, you and I have talked about this many times now, but our communities are so great. All of you guys watching this video right now is just, man, you're always so respectful of one another. And, and you guys know on my channel and Fate too. Although Fate may say, man, but we don't tolerate drama much on our channels, right? We don't. Not mean drama, like not real drama. And so you guys already know that, but I love seeing you guys in the chat having this banter where you're going back and forth, but it's so respectful to one another. And it's in the spirit of fun and the spirit of just getting our thoughts out there to one another. And I love seeing this. So
that's what it's all about. It's all about conversations about, I mean, we all are fandom and we're all part of this community together. And but at the same time, we all have our different ideas and thoughts and ideologies about this film and stuff. And I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about conversations, about debate, as long as it's all in good fun, good spirits.
I
don't have a problem with it. I love, like, you and me have even talked about, even in the Lethal Collective chat, we've talked about how, we encourage people to push back on our theories or ideas, because that's how the conversation, if every single person was in the comments and was like, yep, I agree. Like, of course, I love that. I love people that agree, but like, it's hard to, have a real conversation back and forth and have that discussion if everyone's just like, yep, cool, I love it.
Right.
It's like, okay, but at the same time, and like, kind of like what you said, I might say so different, but it's not, I don't think I mean, I'm just,
no, you're not.
Like,
I just
because what Craven's referring to is my response to some comments, but it's the troll comments. Like, I just don't have time for that. Like, I'm here trying to respond to people. I'm trying to have a good time with people. I'm trying to communicate with people, and then you get somebody that says something dumb in the comments, and I just don't have time for that. Like, so I'm just like, like, you're silly, go away. Like, and exactly. I know the right thing to do is not to respond to those things. But at the same time, I've had it happen several times where I've responded, like, because people don't expect me to respond. So I have people that comment on my videos regularly now that used to be troll comments. Every comment they did were a troll comment until I called them out and told them, like, hey, like, we're not doing this. Like, I'm not that creator. Like, like, and they switch up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And they change their tune because they don't expect us to respond to those comments. But my thing is that, like, I think that's a teachable moment. Like, like, so I'll tell them, like, hey, like, maybe you're a kid, maybe you're something, but this isn't the way to go about attention. Like, if you want attention, go somewhere else. It's like,
oh yeah, totally, yeah.
yeah,
And I think the other thing too is, and I can speak for Fate and actually the whole collective, even Night Watch and Jake, we all of us when we do our videos, we really put thought into this. And I hope you guys, I think you guys get that when you watch the videos. We really think these things out carefully. None of us just jump on and just throw out an idea without like vetting it and within ourselves at least.
yeah,
And so when someone does come up and say, "Hey, I just think you're wrong," my response is, "Oh, hey, look," I'll say, you may be right. It's very possible because this is a theory,
yeah.
but what's your theory? Let me hear what you've got in mind. Or
That's my thing. Yeah,
let's
I'm with you.
yeah, exactly. Like I want to let me hear what your thought is on it. Where's let's talk about where this you think my theory breaks down.
Yeah, I've
And
always said I don't care if somebody leaves a comment, you're stupid, or
right,
I don't care if somebody leaves a comment of this is the dumbest theory I've ever heard. That's fine, but at least explain. At least
yeah,
like if you're gonna my thing is if you're gonna take the time to say something ignorant, at least elaborate on that ignorance. Like
yes,
so that way at least I
yes,
can at least I know, okay, this person, because maybe you really do feel like this is a dumb theory. Well, okay, that's fine. Well, let's
that's
talk about it.
fine. Yeah,
My
exactly.
problem
Yeah,
is that like I just don't want like I'm a very honest person, and I think that's
right.
why so many people enjoy the channel is because I give my honest opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I say I'm wrong. I'm sorry, my bad. If we're in the comments, I'll tell people that's very interesting. But based on what we have, is this like
Yeah,
we've talked about it before. Like there are plenty
yeah,
of creators that'll just bend and
right,
navigate to whatever their community wants. And I just don't think that that's good because now you don't know the real creator. And those are the
right.
creators that are the first ones to throw you under the bus, and they're the first
Hmm.
ones to, extort you or do whatever they need to do to soak up their audience because they want you to like them, they want to make money off you. Like I do this for enjoyment, I do this for
Yep,
fun.
yep.
Like I do this for my community, for our
Hmm.
fandoms, for the people in the chat. Like that's what it's about. And like
That's what it's
so
about.
I
Yeah.
owe them, my
Hmm.
honest self. I
Correct.
owe them, the honest answer.
Yeah,
I owe them the truth. And
yeah.
that's just who I
It's
am as
true.
a person. I mean, it's just I'm not I've never lied to you. Like, why am I gonna lie to
No.
some, strangers on the internet? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like let's
that's right.
I just think that there's enough of lies and just nonsense just in the world, period. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. Like,
No, no, not at all. And and I'm the same way, man. I mean, we may disagree on like a particular thing, but I'll always tell you like if someone gives a theory, and a lot of times what happen, and and I'll think to myself, okay, it's possible. I mean, I can't think of a way where I would say that's impossible, or if it is, then it is. I'll say,
yeah,
well, that won't work because it's a great idea, but it won't really work because of this or this or this. But either way, I'll always say, hey, here's I disagree with that, or here's why I don't think that will work. But and I think that as long as we're thoughtful about it, that's the key. Being thoughtful in terms of engaging in that discussion where I'm not just going to dismiss you because I disagree with you.
yeah,
Just because, we can disagree, but that doesn't dismiss your view. I just want to understand your view better. Like, oh, help me understand. Now, what do you mean by that?
exactly.
You
For
know?
all I know, you could be right. You
Well,
know what I
that's
mean? We're
exactly
throwing, we're
right.
throwing, we're throwing out theories and ideas and whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying, like I always, like I comment all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's a real possibility. That definitely could
Exactly.
happen. Like for all
Yeah.
I know, any guess is a good guess because it's true. I'm not just saying that to be generic.
Exactly.
I'm saying it because it's
Yeah.
true. You know what I
It
mean? Like
is.
I'm just throwing things. I'm throwing darts at a board and trying to see how many stick. And I
Right.
can't wait. And this is going to be one of the funnest things for all of us. I cannot wait till the film comes out and I do the video of the things I got right and then another video of the things I got wrong.
Oh man.
I can't wait, especially Stu.
mm. Oh yeah. Now you're talking.
You're
That's
gonna
gonna
be
be
you're gonna be
fun.
upset when you.
It's gonna be so good. Yeah, well, yeah, I may be crying. Um, this is a great question, and this is something that I think has got some meat on its bones. What if Wes is Dewey's son? I know the timeline doesn't work out, but and see, this is what I like about Stratton, your theory. you explain how it could work, and this is what I'm talking about being plausible theories. But what if he cheated mid-marriage and Dewey's Wes's dad? And I actually have got a whole video on that theory, and I think that it could have legs, because if there was a scenario where they did, because remember, we don't know anything about Wes, we really don't. He was not even mentioned in 4. So what if there was some situation years back where this did occur? I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, in my book, it's not impossible. And I even had a theory on that. Part of the reason that Gale and him were split up could have been infidelity. And they were already kind of in rocky spot in 4. And so who knows, right? We if the story's written well, you can make that, you can give us that information and make it work. But I don't dismiss this theory, because I think that it's possible. I think you could do something with this. I don't know how you feel about it, Fate. I feel like it's not impossible that this could be part of it.
We know Dewey is a father figure to Wes. That has been established. They've already established that Wes is essentially like dad to him. But one, Stratton is right. The timeline doesn't work. The problem is that the reason I don't think this is plausible, because I really don't. I don't think it'd be a terrible idea if it did happen. But the problem is, okay, Wes is 18, right? So
17, 18.
Yeah. 17, 18, yeah. So let's just call it 18, because 17 would actually make it worse. So let's actually make it. Okay. So let's say he's 18. Okay, so then that would put us at what, 2003 would be when he was born. So it would be 2 years after the events of Scream 3. The problem is we don't even know if Dewey and them returned to Woodsboro, because Dewey at the end of Scream 3, that's when he proposed to Gale. I don't know. I was going to say Courtney, but I was trying to spit out Gale. But that's when he proposed to Gale, and then it's very likely they didn't get married immediately. So you got to figure, let's call it a year. So that puts us 2022. Do you really think Dewey cheated on Gale the first year of their marriage? Because that's what would have to happen in order for him to get married. Now, again, we don't even know when he returned to Woodsboro to become the sheriff and take over the place. I mean, he could have returned in 2008, and then he was sheriff for 3 years, and leading into Scream 4. So it just, besides the timeline, just wouldn't make sense. And you would have to make Dewey a cheater the first year of their marriage. I just don't see that. One, their relationship. Two, the way Dewey loved her and cared for her, and the way he always chased her. Like, he followed her all over the place. He did everything he could for her. Like, to all of a sudden make him that kind of guy where he's this, he's basically a dirtbag that just, chased the first tail that he got a year into their marriage. I just don't think they would do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. And if even if we were to rule out the Wes angle, I think that the possibility, though, of him with Judy, something happening on the rocks there, I think that still could be something that could happen.
Yeah. I think after.
I think so.
I could see, but I don't think because Courtney, when she was talking about it, when she did that interview or whatever, I think it was on ET magazine, might have been. I know because she's done a couple of them, but Dewey goes to New York with her, so it's likely that that's the breakup. The breakup that we know now is that he just couldn't hack it in New York. So he returned to Woodsboro. Now, when he comes back to Woodsboro, he's a single guy, he's lonely, Judy's there.
Exactly.
That makes sense to me. But at that point, Wes is already born. Wes is already, a kid. So, so I mean, that's the thing, is that it just, could they be hooking up on the side? Maybe they're in a relationship now,
That could be.
That's definitely a possibility. Dewey having a kid, I don't think is likely.
Let's see. Scream 5, Killer's Revenge for Randy. Is this a Meeks as a killer possible move? Yeah, I mean, I think Chad and or Mindy are both could both be suspects. I tend to think they won't be. I mean, there was a period of time where I even did a video on the Meeks twins, thinking, you know, you could have a Meeks brother and sister duo, Ghostface duo. And if you want to get real fun, we could have Martha Meeks, the mother, being the mastermind, and have a whole family of Meeks killers. Uh, but it's interesting. I mean, sure, it's possible. Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I get it, but also the thing about the motive with the Meeks, though, we have to remember is that Billy and Stu did not kill Randy because Randy survived. Because remember, the whole thing about this movie is the attacks were on relatives of the original killers. That's Billy and Stu. Now they attacked. Now Billy shot him, absolutely. So there's definitely not there's some ill will. But if they had killed Randy in Scream 1, then I think they would be more motive here for them. But the fact is that Randy was killed by um, Loomis's mom. And so, sure, that's Loomis's mom. I mean, there's a connection. That there's family, so you could draw the line there. But to me, what would make that more of if you're going to kill someone for that, the motivation for me is I want to go and of course, you could all see they're all dead. I guess it doesn't really matter because I mean, Loomis's mom is dead, Billy's dead, his mom is dead, Hank's still there, but Hank wasn't involved with any of that. So I mean, sure, you could write it in, and they're taking revenge on the lineage of Loomis. They're going to take it out on the relatives now that are alive. Sure, could be. But I think they're setting up Mindy to be Randy, the new Randy,
I think so too.
and yeah, I think that I think, and we touched on it earlier,
yeah,
right? And Chad, I think Chad's dead. I'm telling you, I'm just sorry, guys. I think he is dead and gone.
I think if this movie was about Sydney, right, I think that the Randy revenge would make more sense because you could say the only reason Randy died was because he was obsessed with Sydney and basically follow Sydney to the end of the world. Like he was willing to go anywhere, do anything.
Went to college up there in Ohio.
He literally, he followed her all the way to college, like on the other side of the country, and
that's true.
So I think that would be more believable then. But this movie's about Sam.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on the comments here a little bit more. I'm a little bit behind. Let's see. Where did Liv go? Oh, okay. That's somebody who's like killers gonna be put livers. Oh, Nissan. They're gonna put the livers in the mailbox next to the spleen and the pancreas.
I already put the liver in the mailbox. It's a Randy reference.
Yeah. Oh, Marion. Aren't you tired of everyone in Woodsboro being related? Well, it's a small town. I mean, I lived in a small town like that. Honestly, I did. It is. They are all related. It's crazy. I've actually seen that. Now, let's see. What we got? Let's get that too. Sitting in the baby. Maybe she was sympathy for Roman. Yeah, okay. I love you guys. Giving all these theories. Yeah, it is. I love that. Let's see. The theories that Dewey brings up, like attacks related to the kills victims, saying first killings from the same friend group, doesn't really match the movies. So it's like, Dewey. I think what you may be saying, Jazz, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is talking about how he was saying that the first victim is help me out, Fate. The first victim is the killer was from the same friend group. That's what it was. So the first victim was the killer was from their friend group. That's what I'm trying to say.
So I was thinking about doing a video to explain this because I've gotten a lot of this lately, comments about people asking me like how is their connection, so on and so forth. So quick summary is that Casey dated Stu. So Casey obviously hung out with the friends group. That doesn't mean that they were best friends, but I
And
mean,
she sat next to Sydney too.
yeah,
Remember?
we were all in high school. Yeah, she sat next to Sydney too. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
we all went to high school. We all had a significant other in high school, most likely. And what do? You integrate them with your friends, and then a month later you break up, and you have a new
Yeah.
girlfriend or boyfriend. A week later, whatever the case is. So you had that Scream 2. You had Phil and Marine.
Yeah.
They
Phil,
they
Maureen,
went to the
Steven.
same
Yeah.
school. They were in the
Same
same
school.
classes. All of that. They hung around in the same groups. Mickey was friends with Phil for the film class, things like that. So again, you
Right.
had the connection. Scream 3. You had Cotton. I mean,
Yeah.
Cotton is about as closely directed to all of them as possible. But also, you got to remember, he was on the set of Stab 3. He was working with
Right.
on Stab 3 before
Yeah.
he died. He says it in like the first 10 minutes of the film or 5 minutes of the film, whatever, when he's in the car. So he hung out with all the actors and actresses on set, all that stuff. So boom, you have that connection there for that. And then lastly, what are their names? I always forget the two girls' names. You had
You talking about
it was
Olivia? Oh
Jenna.
no.
No,
Oh,
it was
Jenny. Jenny.
Jenny and
Oh man.
I can't remember the other one.
I don't
I
either.
but off the top of my head. But yeah, anyway, those two girls again went to the school. They were I think it was Jenny. Jenny's the one that was on the phone app, right? She was
Yes.
part of the horror club with them. That's why she knew about the phone app because they made a reference in
Marley.
the thing. Marley, there you go.
That's
So
it.
yeah, so then Marley was the one, and then so they hung out with the same groups, and so that's the thing. So they all were part of the same friend group, and I've had somebody like say, "Oh, well, what about Steve?" Because Steve was technically the first kill, but I mean, he was more of a casualty. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Casey was the
Yeah.
target. Like
Yeah.
he was
Sure.
that was just pettiness. That was just Stu being petty. But even then, you could argue he was a jock. He was probably popular. He probably ran in the circles. He probably talked to Stu, and because Stu was a popular guy, all that stuff. So I don't think it's yeah. There we go, Marnie and Jenny. Thank you, Pluto.
Marnie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Marnie and Jenny. There we go.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Let's take a look here. All right, so we're gonna go about another. I mean, we got such a great response in the chat. I mean, we got such a full house. Let's go for maybe another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll start wrapping it up. Keep your questions coming, guys. I love y'all's intertwining chat, but let's keep the questions coming for Fate and myself. If you have some more Scream 5 questions, let's see. Okay, now this is interesting also. Yeah, so could Sam be the child? And when you say Sam, I'm also going to throw out Vince and Richie because they all fit in that spot. Well, for your question specifically, could Sam be the child of Judy and Billy? And they did go to school together. We know they were classmates with Sydney. They were all. So yeah, it's why not, man? I mean, you could the whole theory we just ran through with Sydney could have happened for Judy as well. She's a 17-year-old mother and she's not ready for having a family, so she gives the baby up. And so basically what we just talked about with Sydney, that whole theory could apply here as well. In my book, that's absolutely a possibility. Do you feel different, Fate, or do you agree?
No, I think it's a possibility. And I've always said that, like, one of the ways that I think Judy is involved is because she was likely Billy's side piece. He wasn't getting
Yeah.
it from Sydney,
Right.
so he's a kid with hormones. Like he said, we started off on our way to an X-rated movie, so he probably was, he thought he was right there, wasn't getting it. Found Judy. Basically said, I'm going to do this. Once I get rid of her, then we're together, type thing, and there's your connection. So yes, I think it is plausible. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not, but I think it's definitely a plausible.
It's definitely plausible.
Theory.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Jazz. That's great. I'm glad you brought that up because it definitely, like you say, it's definitely plausible for sure. I had another one here I looked at. Where did it go? Let's see here. Hey, Frank Craven, what's your What's your favorite stab movie?
What is it? Stab 5 with time travel?
Yeah,
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
let's do it, man. Yes, that's. I think I
Let's
agree
go
with you
back.
on
Let's
that
go
one.
back in time to 96. And
Yes.
that killer. How cool would that be? Honestly. Okay. So say you have a
Oh,
killer. Say you have a
okay.
killer that is like maybe they want to stop the Billy and Stu bloodline. So they go
Okay.
back in time and they basically just wipe everyone out. Like, they take out
Oh,
Sydney, they take out Billy, take out Gale, like, and that lineage.
dang.
That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it would. I would love it. I would love that dude to go back in time. I mean, it's so cool with this little Christmas sleigh TV, our little
Yeah.
promo we got, right?
Yeah, the
We got
Discord
the
one. Yeah.
yeah, right, the Discord one. Yeah, yeah. And then we saw the little trailer piece where you've got the flashback scene
Yeah.
from 96 with Tatum and Sydney walking up the sidewalk.
I really wonder if that's evidence. So I did a video on that too. I believe you did too, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so too. On I really think because like obviously because when I first saw that I thought it was just here's then here's now moment because you have that quick scene and then boom it shows Sydney in Stu's house type thing.
Yeah.
So but then I thought about it and I was like, why that scene out of all scenes? Because we have that image of Sydney in essentially the same spot in the kitchen as she was in 96 when the reveal of Billy and Stu. Why not use that scene?
Yes.
Why not have Sydney standing there, like with her face, blood on, boom, and then cut to like why that scene of Stu's house with the overhead? Granted, you could argue because the snow and stuff, which I get, I understand that. But even then, like why that scene out of all? Why the scene of them going into Stu's party type
Right.
thing? Like, I mean, there were other moments where they were outside, stuff like that. I mean, it's just so I wonder. I really think that might be a clue of a flashback. We get a flashback of the party scene leading up to the end. And another thing that I presented too was because usually when we think of a flashback, we think of like we're talking, boom, there's a flashback that kind of fills in what we're talking about, and then boom, we pick up talking again. What if it's not? What if the flashback is the dream sequence of Sam? The nightmare sequence of Sam.
Yes.
That could be why some of the images we've gotten of 96 seem different than the actual movie of 96. Like there's certain things out of place, stuff like that. Well, that would make sense because Sam wasn't actually there. She's only heard the stories. She's only, read the books or watched the movies or whatever. So yeah, she might know most of what has gone on, but it's very likely she's not going to know that there was a mirror here instead of over there, or there was a pumpkin here instead of over there, or
Right.
The pumpkin was white instead of the orange one, like stuff like that. Like so, I think another possibility is that it is a sort of like flashback sequence, but
yeah, for sure. And something. Yeah, no, I think so. And that really brings up, and I touched on it earlier, like before you joined earlier, I touched a little bit on the whole mental health aspect with the hallucinations that we got confirmation of that in that scene where she sees Ghostface mask in the mirror and she turns around and he's gone. So he's not there. So we actually know for sure that she's going to have some reality issues, like knowing what is real. And all the possibilities could come from that. You could do a lot of things, especially like with what you're talking about. And one thing though, this would not be that scenario, but I would love to see, and I've said it before, where we get new footage that they've filmed it obviously, but it's 96. So we're seeing what is supposed to be new footage, old footage rather, even though it's new, of that party scene. And we see Judy Hicks, like maybe Gale Weathers' camera that she had in the living room. And Gale's like, well, let me go through my old tapes. I never got rid of them because of all that happened. And she pulls out an old VHS tape and she pops it in, and there's this footage that she never looked at before and didn't mean anything before and never looked at it. And there's Judy as a teenager talking to Stu in the house, or you see her outside on the grounds lurking around the night of the killings. And it's like, this would be obviously towards the end of the movie, it'd be like a huge kind of game changer of the film. But I would love to see that type of a flashback where it's a new scene, but it's supposed to be old.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree with you. My only problem, and I've had a lot of people talk about like Judy's or Gale's footage. My only problem with that is she used that to make her book. She had to have watched that thing 1,000 times. You know, she's probably knows that thing inside and out. And yeah, it's been some time since then. But don't you think she would have connected Judy before? I mean, she's been in Woodsboro ahead of time. You know, she's the sheriff. She's weird. Don't you think she would have said, like, you know, especially with Sydney, you know, kind of seeming sus about her at one point, you know, I just think that like that would have gotten brought up. I think Gale would have likely made that connection already, if not at some point, because like, there's like, what is going to be really that groundbreaking that she wouldn't have put in her book? You know, I think that's the thing too. Like she would have, like, let's say Judy was, you know, there and like she saw her kiss Billy or, you know, or something crazy, you know, or crawling on there. Don't you think she would have said something to the cops like, hey, like, you know, I saw this girl the night when they were doing, you get what I'm saying? I just don't, like, to me, that just wouldn't make sense. But I definitely think that if we do get a flashback scene, it's going to reveal new information we didn't know. You know, maybe a phone conversation or something along those lines that, you know, to Roman, maybe he's talking to Roman. And Roman's like, well, I got 2 more people ready to go in case you fail. Something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of what my point was too, is that we get new information. Like I was throwing Judy out as an example, just to say like as an example of something we might see. But the bigger picture of what I'm getting at is what you just touched on is it's the new information. You know, I want to see some type of a flashback scene to where it changes how I watch Scream 96 the next time. Like the next time we put on Scream 1, we're going to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch this movie a little differently now. Like not foundationally different, but there's some component that's new that will add in some color that we didn't realize that wasn't there. That kind of thing. I think that would be a really cool thing. Valerie says, both of you give great comments back to your communities and are engaged with your communities. Love that you guys don't agree with all that is said and give your tune. Oh, thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Valerie. That. I appreciate that. You can always get honesty, I assure you.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Never have to worry about that.
Let's do let's see, 11:30. Let's go. How about 5 more minutes, Faye? You want to hang with me for another 5 minutes? You got to run.
We can do it. Whatever works for you. Yeah, I got about another 30 minutes I can do.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could either go the full 30 minutes, or if you want to wrap it up in 5 or 10, whatever works for you. You let me know.
All right, we'll gauge the chat. You know, we still have really good attendance, man. So a lot of people
crashed your stream, so
you crashed it, man. No, it's all good. I asked, hey, you can't crash a party you've been invited to.
That's true. That's true. Kicked the door in and said, "I'm here."
Well, that's right. I'm here. It's my turn now.
I'm like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. All right. I'm just looking around here a little bit, guys. Send your questions in, guys. If you got some Scream 5 questions you'd like us to give live, let's hear it, man. Let's do it.
Do you think I have a question while you're kind of piecing through the chat? Do you think we're still going to get a second trailer? Because I really don't think we're going to. I don't know if we are anymore. Because at this point, it's like, what's the point?
Well, I actually do, and I mentioned this like when I first started the live stream. One of the first things that popped up.
Oh,
here's you weren't in. That's okay. The reason I brought that up though, and we got probably a lot of new folks now anyway, but I do think we're going to get it only because it's been done. It's already been filmed. It's been locked up. It's been approved. And now and I mentioned earlier, I said the way that would be different in my mind is if they said, you know what, we're going to take that 2-minute clip, we're going to chop it up into 15 little
pieces.
That's
what I think happened.
That's what I think they did. And that's why we're getting all these crazy ads, like just unridiculous.
Dude, we're getting a ridiculous amount of these little trailers and things. Yeah. I think that's what they did. I think that they broke it down. Now, would I love a second trailer? Absolutely. I mean, if they release it tomorrow, we'll be the first ones there talking about it, stuff like that. But I just think that's kind of what has happened. I think that they likely broke it because I made the same argument. Like, why wouldn't they release it? They already graded it. They already made it. They put the money, the time into it. You'd think they'd do something with it. Mm-hmm. But they've had so many ample opportunities. And I've had people say like, oh, maybe they'll do it like New Year's Eve or New Year's, but it's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, they can, not saying they can't, but it's
They
like,
could.
I think it's a possibility, but at that point, it's like what, like why, like we got like, because here's the thing: the last week, I don't think they're gonna need hype, because we're gonna be a week from the movie. I mean, just think of all the hype there is now. Everyone's just gonna be on the edge of their seats, counting down the days till the film comes out. So I don't think that'll be an issue. But I think I don't know. I mean, maybe it will come out New Year's Eve or New Year's, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we don't get one at all.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right, and that, like I said, it does make sense to why we're getting. Because I'm like, why do we keep getting another 30-second ad, another 30-second ad, and another 20-second, and another 30-second? But I'll say this: here's just my thought is, if we don't get it by next Friday, because next Friday, which is New Year's Eve, right? Yeah, that is the 2-week mark, and I believe if it doesn't drop on that Friday, then I'm gonna probably reserve. I'm probably gonna change my mind and say it's not coming. I think that's gonna be, because you're right. After you get under 2 weeks, really,
it's like, it's like, what's the point? I mean,
yeah, if you haven't, if you don't have a good turnout, it's not because of that. Because all the marketing they've done now is building that momentum up. And the only thing I thought of was like, what if though their plan was, we're going to hold back one last Hail Mary play for that 2-week mark, and we're going to blitz the TV market with this new, the theater market with this new 2-minute trailer, and as like the final push, right, for in the theatrical trailers in the movie theaters. That's the only thing, because these theaters, man, they're not showing the 30-second clips, man. I mean,
they're showing
the whole trailer. Yeah. And so that trailer's been in theater rotation since October.
Yeah, so 2-3 months now.
Yeah, exactly. So my thought was, what if they're saving that for the last final 2 weeks? And so all the new releases next weekend and the weekend after all get, that are R-rated, all get the Scream new trailer. That's the only thing I'm wondering. Maybe it was strategic, but I think
it's a huge possibility. Well, it also goes, because I thought, and obviously I was wrong, but I thought that they would release the trailer on like the 14th, the 20th, maybe Christmas, whatever, at the end of the 12 days. I figured by today we would have the second trailer. And then they'd probably take a break for a week or so, and then we'd get like some more posters, some more, easy stuff that's not going to take away from the film. And then that would go into the film. But I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe they'll just give it a week or two, let people, kind of unwind, and then get that hype and excitement going in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, if we don't get it by, like you said, next Friday, it's like, not saying that they won't release the trailer, but at that point, it's like, why? Like,
right. Yeah. It's at that point. Yeah. Because
at that point, it's like, we don't need any more hype.
No.
It's not, how many new people are you going to get with that trailer? A week into the film, so it's like, that's kind of my thing. I think a majority of the people that are going to see it already know they're going to see it, at this point, because we're less than a month away now. So
that's right. 3 weeks, man.
Under 3 weeks.
Woo.
I cannot wait.
I love this. Stratton. Well, if the creep killer is Karen Kolchak, creepy Karen in the video store. Oh my gosh.
I actually think, because her having a kid would work too. With Randy.
Say it again.
Her
Her
and Randy having a kid would work too.
That's true. Yeah, that would.
That actually work timeline wise. The only problem is we don't have a character that age that we know of, because because Randy died in 2, so that character would have to be 22, 23 at the oldest. And nobody at this time is that age. But I've said this in videos. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a character or two that we don't know of yet. And I've even said, and I even made an entire video on the possibility of the killer being somebody we don't know about yet.
Definitely.
Mrs. Loomis wasn't marketed. She wasn't. Nope. We didn't even know she was a character until the film came out.
That's right.
And then once the film came out, so I was like, they could do that too. Same thing with Roman. Roman wasn't a heavily marketed character.
No,
we didn't really know much about him. I mean, we knew he was a part of the top billed cast, but we didn't know for all we knew, he was just going to be a throwaway character. And
Right.
then when that movie came out,
And
even
Angelina
then,
too.
yeah, Angelina too. And
Yeah.
he wasn't a huge like piece of that film. So and
No.
they have to character build all these people anyway. So like,
Yep.
what's one more random character that's just going to be in a couple scenes, behind that? Now that doesn't mean that I don't think one of the new the cast that we know of, I think one of them will be a killer at least.
I do
But
too.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if the killer number 2 or the mastermind is somebody we don't know yet. Because that's what I mean. Mrs. Loomis, yeah, she donned the ghost face mask and killed Randy, but for the most part, she was a mastermind more than anything. She wasn't
Yes.
running around doing the
Yes.
legwork. So,
No, not at all.
yeah, it's just something I've thrown out there. But that could be the same thing with with Randy and Karen Kolchak, kid. So
Sure. Yeah.
dropping gems on the stream.
I know, man. Any comments on how the Ghostface voice always sounds like the characters they play? If you go back and look at speech patterns, it's really evident in Scream 4 with Jill, Charlie when Billy was in, and when Billy was in jail. I never have paid a lot of close attention to that, to be honest with you, because I don't trust any of it, man. I mean, I guess, and I would honestly, to answer your question, I would need to go back and intently really note that and pay attention to that, because I mean, normally when I hear Ghostface, I'm like, it's a ghost change, it's a voice changer, so I'm not really paying a lot of attention to how it's said, more just what is said. And Roger L. Jackson, oh man, that is there not a better? I mean, I'm just going to park that for a second. Is there not a better Ghostface voice than Roger L. Jackson?
Without a doubt.
Man? Gosh,
his voice just fits it perfectly.
It does.
But I mean, I'm not like so like I think it's Zach Cherry. I think he's the one that like did the breakdown of like all the voice. Like you can hear all the voice. Like during the chase scene in Scream 2 with Gale, you can hear a female's voice. So many people think it was Mrs. Loomis that was doing the chasing and stuff like that. They've like broken it down, but even then, like you got to remember, one, the person in the costume is likely a stunt double.
Yes.
Two, the voice is Roger Jackson. So even if you hear, so like Mrs. Loomis's stunt double very likely was wearing the Ghostface mask. So yeah, like if you may have heard a female voice, that kind of thing, but it likely wasn't Jill's voice or Mrs. Loomis's voice or Charlie's voice. It was likely the stunt double's voice that was in the film. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, but it's one of those things. It's like, how do you know for real? And it's Wes Craven. How do you know he didn't leave that in there for real? Like
good
that
point,
guy doesn't
man.
miss anything.
No, he does not. Now this is let's take a look at this. This is an interesting point, Stratton. Man, you've been hitting home runs.
Scream 4's opening was terrible.
Dude. Okay, no, look. We don't have the time. We're not going to get into the Scream 4 opening. You and I have very stark different views on that, which is fine, which is great. And so there'll be a day we can kind of talk about it in depth. I love the Scream 4 opening. Is it my favorite? Absolutely not. Not even close to my favorite opening, but I enjoyed it. I did enjoy the opening. The only thing I will say, and this is all I'm going to say, and I just said I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to say this one thing. The Scream 4 opening, I felt like it went, because what you want to do in these kind of situations is you want to have a scenario where you're going in an upward trajectory. And what I felt happened for me was when the Scream 4 opening, it started up here and it went down. Now, I still liked it, but I still enjoyed it. I still do. But I felt like the real opening of Scream 4, actual, not the stab openings. I thought it left a little oomph. I thought it was a little light. I will say, I will admit that. I'm far from calling it terrible, and this is my own opinion, of course. I don't think it was terrible. I think it was fine. But was it epic? No, it wasn't. Was it my favorite? No. But I still enjoyed the stabs, fake outs. I really enjoyed the stab fake outs because I didn't see it coming. And it was something different. It was like, whoa, okay, this is okay, Wes is changing this up a bit. And anyway, there's more I could say, but I'll
Yeah.
stop there for
Well,
time.
like I said, we won't go into it, but
Yeah,
kind
go
of
ahead. No,
just to
yeah,
summarize, like
yeah,
my issue with it was my biggest problem is by the time we got to the actual kill, we were
right.
so far removed,
Hmm.
it fell flat, and that was my problem. Like I didn't have a
Well,
problem.
yeah,
I didn't have a problem. Like you said, it started high. I
right.
didn't have a problem with the opening being stabbed, and they
Hmm.
did that, and then it went directly into the actual kill. I think would have been fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
probably would have loved it. Problem is, you had like three different, or two different stab moments, and by the
right,
time you actually got to the real kill, it completely took you were completely out of the moment because you just witnessed two fake kills. So when that happens, you're like, was that real? Was that fake? Like, okay. And then it goes to the credits, and it's just like, or the title card. It's like, okay, like and the problem was that they weren't significant characters. Like
right.
I'm
True.
trying, like say you did the stab thing, and it opened with like Mark Kincaid after Scream
Oh
3.
yeah.
And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
he's a significant he's a character we know,
Hmm.
right? We don't know that he's about to die because we just think we got through the opening scene. Mark
Right.
Kincaid, he's on the phone, he's doing his thing, boom, he gets killed. That would have been like, wow.
It would have
Like,
been wow. Yeah, it would have.
wow, like that was
Yep.
something. Problem is, you had by the time we got to the actual kill, there were two characters we didn't know, that we didn't care about, that weren't relevant, that weren't big stars, that weren't, it
Yeah.
basically it wasn't anything like the past ones, which is
Right.
fine, but it was just so out of left field and irrelevant that it really took me out of the movie.
Right.
So
Sure. That's fair.
that's kind
That's fair.
of, yeah.
And actually, you and I agree more than I think we do because
Yeah.
we both agree on how it started at a peak and went down, and that's so you and I are in agreement on that. So I think we actually agree more than I thought
Yeah.
we did. I want to put this up again because this is something that I've mentioned before, and I think it's worth us talking about real quick. Is that the openings of the movies are always so awesome, and if it's Tara, they've given away the opening attack of Scream 2022, which is okay, just wondering. And this is why I go back to my original thought that Tara is not dying in the opening. I believe that she survives this attack. And I know we've talked a lot about, seeing her in the wheelchair in the hospital. Some have said that's actually Mindy, but that's I still firmly believe it's Jenna Ortega. I think that is Tara in that wheelchair scene in the hall, and she's even she's pushing herself because she's got a broken ankle. She's in the wheelchair, and so anyway, I think there's some merit here, Fate, because if you I don't think that is the opening kill. I don't. I think it is one of the opening attacks. All right.
Yeah.
And to me, this movie Fate is going to go one of a couple of ways. Of course, it could probably be a lot more than just two. But here's what I'm thinking. I think that we're going to see either a completely amazing epic opening kill, a la Scream 2, 1, even Cotton, whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to see that type of opening where there is a kill, and then we get the title card, and then all of a sudden Tara's phone rings, or she's texting, and we start into now to these attacks. Or what I think is going to happen is, personally, we're going to have Tara being attacked. The opening scene is an attack. She survives. We have Vince being attacked in the parking lot. That may not be the opening scene, but my thought is this: the opening kill will not be Tara's scene. This is what I'm getting at.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that. What are your
So
thoughts?
I'll give you a little. I'll give the chat a peek in a video that should be going up tomorrow. So one thing that nobody's really talking about that I think is a huge possibility of the opening kill is Frances or Francine, who is Tara's current girlfriend, because Amber and Tara are broken up. Francine is a
Yes.
known character in this movie. She's played by I have it written down. It's like Ali something. I can't remember her full name. I say it in the video. when the video's up. Like so.
Okay.
But she so she's playing Tara's current girlfriend, and I think we get a sort of Casey and Steve type scene where
Okay.
she's actually the kill. Tara's just tore up to send a message to bring Sam back, but the first kill will be Francine, and that could also be one of the two of the three attacks, because like everyone else seems to get attacked later. So I think that you have those two, and then you probably have like the Vince scene, and then that's where Dewey, because we see everybody pretty much talking to Dewey. I mean, Wes is there, Richie's there, Sam's there. The only ones
there.
Chad's there, Mindy's there. The only ones we don't know that are there are Vince, Tara, and Francine. Like, because I don't think Francine's going to be a main character. I think she's going to be a just kill fodder. So that makes sense. So there's a little sneak peek at a video for everyone. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to ruin the video. But, but there's a little taste.
Good deal. I think Sam, Honey says, I think Sam's the sister of Billy. Yeah, because Billy's dad's a cheater. I think that's very, very possible. Absolutely. Let's see. All right. Yeah, Brand, see here. Just a reminder, guys. I said this at the beginning, but I know we've had a lot. We've been on for a very long time, which has been awesome. Yeah. But if you guys have any potential leaks and spoilers, please do not post them in the chat. I am all about theories. I will entertain any theory in the world, but if you have any leaks or spoilers, I do not want them posted because that's not what I'm about. I'm all about theories. I despise spoilers, which why I mentioned on my last live stream on Thursday that at like 4:00 on the 12th of January, I'm going dark on all of my social media. And I'm not the 12th, on the 13th, excuse me. I'm going to be going dark on all of my social media and YouTube, and I will not turn any of that back on until I'm back from the theater on the 14th. So anyway, just want to throw that out there, guys. Let's see if we got a couple more here as we're going to wrap up these last 10 minutes with you guys. If you guys have any burning questions we haven't touched on, this is your chance. Get it in now.
Get them in while they're hot.
Yes. Let's do it, man. Let's talk. Let's see. Messing with Sam's medication. Oh, that's interesting. Kimmy says, what if someone's messing with Sam's medication? Like deliberately tampering with her dosage? Richie? That's causing hallucinations, trying to gaslight her. Oh, Tara. Oh, man. This is really cool. I haven't really thought about that. What you could have Tara, who's close to her sister, and Richie, her boyfriend, who she's obviously going to be coming to town with, right? That's interesting. What do you think, man?
I do. I've had this exact conversation. It's definitely something with, especially with Richie. I think Tara would be a little hard because they're not really close. They're different. But Richie, if Richie really is involved and he really is the killer, then it makes sense that he would, tamper with their stuff, make her seem crazy, make her seem like, like she can't have a grasp on reality. I think it fits.
Yeah, man, for sure. Brandon, I also believe Skeet's voiceover for the 5th Scream film will definitely have something to do with what Gale recorded. Either Sam hears his voice or Sydney, maybe. Yeah, there's definitely, we know Mose McGowan turned down the offer, and I do firmly believe Skeet has done voice work. And I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew Lillard has as well. And heck, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from Randy. Why not? Yeah. You're doing voiceovers, you're doing flashbacks. I mean, anything's game.
I will say though, Jamie Kennedy, because I watch Jamie Kennedy's YouTube channel all the time. Mm-hmm. Jamie Kennedy said he's not in this movie in any way. That I believe he said they asked him, but he couldn't because of work. He wasn't able to do it, but he really wanted to, or something along those lines. He talked about it in something. But yeah. So
Valerie says Radio Silence has done such a great job with the promotions of this movie, for sure, keeping us in the dark. Yes. who knows what to expect with the promotions going on in the last 2 weeks. I know. Listen, and we've at this point, I'm going to say nothing will surprise me because every day there's something coming out. If it's a poster or if it's an app, adjustment to your, it's whatever. They have done such a great job. I'm so blown away.
I mean, just everybody in general. Because like I even made a video today talking about the Gale or Courtney and Melissa reel that they posted on Instagram. How Dylan Minnette made a little like TikTok or whatever. To all that stuff. And I was talking about like it's amazing to see like the genuine passion, and it gives us so much. Absolutely. So at least me personally, it gives me so much hope for this film because these are people that really care about the success. It's people that I mean, when do you see producers running around doing interviews with like random channels and going around, interacting with fans, doing all that stuff?
That's true, man.
I mean, they were sending like people that were using the AR thing, which I should probably do too, just to see what they send. But there's people like that are taking images of the AR with the Ghostface behind them.
Yep.
Like people are posting it to Twitter and then they're sharing it and then sending people like care packages and stuff with like shirts and stuff. Like it's super cool. And I was like, I should do that to see if they said something just so I can share it, just so I can be like, oh, look at this stuff. Look at what they sent. Like,
that's true, man. I haven't done it either. And I really should send an email to that email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? What do you got to lose?
I mean, it's true, man. It's not going to cost anything to do it. I think about it. It's something I never really remember to go back and do it.
Yeah.
Francine being killed first would make sense. Big opening kill. Then a huge attack on Tara. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. Yeah. All right. Okay. I love it, David.
Some of the characters will die in this movie.
Now, that's a leak that I don't mind on
we don't know that.
Chat.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know.
Just what happens if everyone lives?
Retro in the house. Low key, I hope the killer ends up being a secret legacy member. Sydney's father. Yeah. Maybe he could have gone through some major trauma since. Oh, yeah, totally. And I even touched on this on Thursday night's live stream because I'm one of those who hold the view that he is definitely he's eligible to come back because the only scene that we have of him being killed off or discussed about is an outtake from Scream 4 that Dewey tells somebody that Sydney hasn't been back to Woodsboro since her dad passed. Wes cut that out of the film, so it was not in the theatrical version. So yeah, we have a deleted scene, but that was removed. So as far as radio silence approaching the canon of the theatrical releases, we don't have anything addressing her father at all after Scream 3. So I've always said from day one, if they want to bring him back, they can. They have the creative freedom to do that without it causing a problem in my book. Because, now, of course, if Wes had left that in there, then it would be a mute subject. But he didn't. It didn't. He cut it out. So I choose to look at this as, the version Wes gave us, that's not in there. So I'm thinking it would be completely acceptable for me if Sydney's father came back. And I even did a whole video on what if he was the mastermind. Now I know that now that we know that Sydney's not the main target, the fact that Sydney's not the main target adds credibility to this theory, because the only reason Sydney is involved is because she puts herself in the situation, which I believe is after Dewey's killed. And so this is not going to be a normal Scream movie where Ghostface is going after Sydney. So her father wouldn't be going after her, which may. So I thought, that actually kind of lends some credibility. So I'm with you, Retro. I think this is plausible. Again, I'm not saying it's probable even, but it's possible. It's plausible that you could do that. And Fate, you may disagree completely. That's my view on Sydney's dad. I think he's in play.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't. I think.
Okay.
I mean, because that scene, like we've seen the scene, like there was no reason to leave it in the movie. You know what I mean? Like And even if I mean, of course, there's always that argument like, is our deleted scenes canon? Yada yada. I
Right.
tend, unless it's an alternative scene, deleted
Mm-hmm.
scenes to me are canon because they were part of the entire film. They just
Yeah.
they usually just cut it for time, etc. And like they almost never film a scene specifically for deleted scenes. They film scenes. They
Right.
just usually cut them out
Cut them
because
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not fluid to the story, or they, for time, stuff like that. So I I don't think that they would change it that way. But if they did, let's say that they did, I don't think as a killer, because
Yeah.
he'd be pretty old now, and I don't see him chasing down high school kids.
I mean,
So, but as a mastermind, because
well,
he would be what, he'd
yes.
be almost 70.
No, actually, no. He actually, 'cause I looked this up before I did the video to make sure, and I'm like, the math worked out where he could plausibly be about 60 now, about 10 years younger than we're thinking, because in the movie, he was actually 38 years old in the movie, not his real life age, but I'm talking about his
Yeah,
actual character age. And so,
you're talking about 96, right?
yeah. In
So
96, he
he
would
would
have been
he
38,
yeah, so he would have been what, 50? He'd be
60,
64,
right?
63, 64.
Something like that.
Yeah,
But I
that's what I'm
envision
saying.
him as,
He's
but
old.
he's a,
I mean,
but you can be an old mastermind though. That, and
no,
that,
no,
that
no.
was
That's
my,
why I said
yeah,
mastermind, just not a killer. He's not going to be
right.
running down at
No,
64 years old. He's
no,
not. Yeah,
no, no, no,
that's what
no.
I'm saying.
I
Like
agree.
he's not going to be running down,
No,
teenagers and stuff. He's going to
no,
be he's going
he's no,
but as an orchestra, like it's the same thing
yeah,
with Hank Loomis. Like Hank Loomis,
exactly.
roughly the same age too. He'd be in his 60s,
Yep,
70s, whatever the case may be, and
right.
but he's not going to be a ghost. He's going to be a mastermind, if assuming they
Yes,
go that route. But yeah,
yes, absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And that's, and I really hope that we get a mastermind. And this, Fate. We've talked about it over and over. I really hope that we get a mastermind at the very end reveal or cliffhanger, if you want to do it that way, and we have at least two Ghostface killers. I really want two and one, two killers, one mastermind, or three killers and a mastermind would make me so happy.
yeah.
Um, Stratton says, this man, you're killing me. I plan on viewing spoilers and seeing which OG characters died to know if I want to go to the theater or not. Oh no, bro.
I'm
Hey,
sure there's
I
a
mean,
lot of people like that, though. I'm sure
there
there's
are
a lot
some,
of people that want to
yeah,
know,
there
like,
are, there are,
because I even see, like, I'll even get comments from people all the time where they're like, if this happens, like,
yeah.
I didn't want to see the movie. So
Yes,
like
yes,
I can
yes, yes.
understand, like, people like, not saying she is, but like, let's say Sydney dies. There's probably a lot of people that want to know if she lives or not.
Yeah,
Like they might want to know might not want to know all the details, but they're just gonna, as soon as the film comes
yeah.
out, they're gonna be looking for,
Just tell me
is
this
Sydney,
person.
yeah,
Yeah,
is Sydney alive or not at the end of the movie? Like,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I actually have a family member who literally will look up and read a spoiler review
Mhm.
before they watch something, and I'm like, I just like, why do you do that? I just because I'm so opposite. I mean,
Yeah,
I understand. I mean, it's fine. Like I say, it's just I'm so the opposite because for me, it's all about the reveal, right? It's all
yeah.
about that who done it mystery aspect of it. But man, you go ahead, bro. It's all good, man. Yeah. But just buy your ticket anyway. Support even if you don't go.
Yeah, right. At least help the box office so we can get more.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys, let's do one more. Let's do one more. All right, one more. I'm looking for the final one. Oh, let's see.
This
Here
is
we
your
go.
chance. Ask a good question.
This is it. You still have time right now, but you got to send it now. If you want us to talk about it, it's got to be now. Let's see. Okay, now I've got one here as a possibility. Let me go. I'm just trying to sort through everyone's chat. I just love seeing you guys chatting with each other. It's so
It is
cool.
tough.
It really is. Let's see. Holly Sydney will be okay. I think. All right. This is gonna be it for tonight's live stream. And here we go. It's coming in from Retro again. He's gonna close it down for us. What if Mickey had a relative we just have yet to see and gets introduced later in the movie? and ends up being the cliffhanger villain / red herring character for Scream 6. Okay. Well, I mean, we don't know a lot about Mickey's background. Um, Obviously, he's there at the school with Sydney. And, I wonder, though, like with a character like him who was so determined, he just wanted to kill because he was just crazy. He just wanted to be, he really was. But I wonder, though, and we don't know this because we know that Mrs. Loomis groomed him, found him somehow.
On a serial killer website.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. I blanked out on that. The serial killer website. Yes. So it doesn't.
Ulterior motive. That was a good one. ZZM.
ZZM. Let's see what's
his name's Mickey Altier. So he's an ulterior motive.
There you go. I love it.
That was a good one.
That is good. I see it now.
But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Yeah. So it would be interesting. I mean, like Fate and I have talked about this before many times. You can do almost anything you want with good writing. I mean, there's some hurdles that you could argue that you couldn't overcome, but for the most part, a really good writing team can make things work. That's what they do. It's what their talent is. And so, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say. I don't know what connections there would be to Woodsboro, though. I wouldn't expect there to be. I mean, not to say there wouldn't be, but what do you think, Fate, as far as having Mickey being a relative? I mean, he just doesn't have those. Well, I loved him too.
I love Mickey as a serial killer. I thought he's probably number 2 on the list for me as far as serial killers go. But I just think it would be too much like fitting a triangle into a square. You know what I mean? Like, because there's no real connections, there's no real ties. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
He wasn't from Woodsboro,
right?
Like,
exactly.
He was in Ohio at Windsor. We don't even know where he was before that.
No,
we just know that Mrs. Loomis found him, paid for his tuition, so he could basically take out Sydney and the others. But yeah, I just, I mean, I never would rule sub out. Not just that, but like Scream 6. I mean, it's it's very likely that. Because I do think that we're going to get a Scream 6. But I think that it's very likely that entire film is going to be 100% based around Sam and likely that the Carpenter family, which makes Mickey completely irrelevant. Like, even if he does have a relative, like, there's no point Scream 6. Like, that would make more sense for this film, I guess. But even then, like, Sydney's not the main target. But I don't, like, it is very likely. I think is going to be the case that this is it for the OG3. Not saying that they die or anything. Just, I mean, obviously Dewey kind of thinks dead. I'm still, I'm like 60-40 now that Gale's going to die too. Or at least be pretty messed up, but I think Sydney is safe. But outside of that, I just don't think, I think this is it for them. I think this will be the end of the Sydney era. And then it'll transition to Sam or the Carpenter sisters or whatever, which I think would be interesting. Like when we were talking on the Podcast Now collaboration, like they could change it up and make the story instead about just one person and everyone coming out of the woodworks about the sisters and like different connections and like just the family as a whole. Depending on what the secret is. I mean, you could even expand on the secret. But I think that I think this is the last movie for the OG3, and then I think after this they're going to go a completely different direction.
Wow, interesting. I don't know, man. I think we lose one, so one's going to be gone because they're not going to survive. That leaves us with 2. When I think Gale and Sydney are who we have left. I mean, I think that we could see Sydney come back again. I don't know. I mean, you and I have talked about this again. Yeah. There has to be a point where,
got to move away. Got to move on.
You move forward. You're moving forward. Yeah, and I get that. I do. And
here's a quick other thing too, real quick, is that you got to keep in mind too, because they said that they have more story to tell in Woodsboro.
Yes, they do. Yep.
So Scream 6 is going to take place in Woodsboro also.
Yep, that's
Sydney doesn't live in Woodsboro. Neither does Gale.
Right.
So if either of them do survive, there's no reason for them to be back in this film. Like,
Yeah.
what is going to bring them back this time?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but that's the thing. I was going to say, as long as, to me, as long as they keep the movie in Woodsboro, there is an opportunity to come back because, especially for Sydney, not really Gale, but for Sydney, because her roots are there, right? Now I know she's not living there now, but her origin story is in Woodsboro and will always be associated. So to me, there's always, you just never know. I mean, to answer your question, who knows? I don't know what would bring her back again after this. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on who's alive now, who's been born,
I
who's.
just think at some point
But
I think at some point it just gets silly. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like let her move on. She's living in Chicago. She's got a family now. All that stuff. Like
yeah,
let her be happy where she's at. Enjoy her life. Like I said, if they're gonna move on with, at some point we got to move on. At some point,
right.
the cousin's sister's nephew's uncle's cousin has to stop showing up randomly. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, of course you can always make up some nonsense to make her return to Woodsboro, but it's like, for what? And just from a realism standpoint, at some point you're going to stop
yeah,
caring. Everyone you love is dead. Everyone you care about is gone.
right.
Gale's in New York, and even she's kind of on the fence. Like, so it's like all you have left is your family. Are you really, like, say there's some cousin's uncle that is like digging up dirt on the Prescott family or something? Like, why does Sydney care? Okay, like, who cares? Like, my mother, like, what else are you gonna dig up? My mother was a tramp. Like she like, what else do you
Who
need
knows
from
how
me?
many? Hey, man, maybe she's got like 10 other children out there we don't even know
That's what I'm
about
saying. Like,
yet.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, at some point it gets ridiculous. Now we're starting to
Right.
get into like nonsense zone. Like,
Yeah.
just let her move on. She was an amazing
Yeah.
final girl. She
Oh yeah.
was Scream in so many ways.
Hmm.
I mean,
Oh
but
yeah.
we got to move on at some point. We got to, if we're going to
Yeah.
keep making films, which I hope they do.
I hope they
Even
do. Yeah.
not just from a content perspective, because obviously, like, that's
Right.
like all my content. So I kind of need them to make more movies. But besides that, it's
Yeah, I hear you. I hear
just
you.
from a fan perspective, I want more. I want more movies. I want more content.
Yeah.
I want, and we need. And the only way we're going to do that is to move in another direction. Because
Yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
old after a while. Like, you can
Yeah.
argue every Scream film has been the same to a certain point. And I love the Scream. I mean, it's my favorite franchise.
But
But I'm
that's
saying, like,
why we
they're
keep
all
going
basically
back,
the
though.
exact same
Yeah.
movie. It's just like,
Well,
it's just a
but
different.
I don't have a problem with that, though, Fate. I mean,
I
because
don't either. But I'm
I
saying
go
that
back there because it is a
yeah,
Scream movie. I don't want it to be not a Scream movie. I mean, so
yeah. But
I know what you're saying, though.
it's like what we talked about with the Halloween ends or Halloween
Right.
kills thing, right?
Oh
Like,
no.
we talk, like, the big
Yeah.
argument was that,
Right.
if you didn't have Halloween kills, right? All three of you were saying the same thing. If you didn't have Halloween kills, this would just be another Halloween movie that's been made, 12 times. It's the same thing for Scream. Like, at some point we
Yeah.
gotta stop doing the Sydney coming out. And I love
Right.
Sydney. It's nothing to do with her. Like, I would, of course, if she could be the final girl forever and do 20 of these things,
Yeah.
why not? But, like,
Sure.
the problem is, it's always the problem is the way that they've established her era is
Yeah.
that it hasn't just been like just random people that just want to. It would make more sense to continue her legacy if the killers were people that just wanted her dead. Like,
Yeah. It
no real
wasn't like
reason. They
the
just,
family.
I just
Yeah.
want to be the Ghostface to kill her.
Right.
Like, then that makes more sense. But how many relatives want her dead? How many,
Right.
how many cousins, nephews want her dead? I mean,
Right.
Scream 2 made perfect sense. You had the revenge,
Sure. Sure. Sure.
perfect. But then you had, like, the long
Yeah.
lost brother, the cousin. Like, now what? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that's
But
just,
remember
that's
this though. But remember this too. And again, and we're gonna wrap this up. But
yeah,
you know, they could at any moment in time change it to that. I mean, it's just because you have Sydney doesn't mean you have to continue the relative theme. That's what it's Wes. That was Wes and Kevin's deal. But the new writers may come back and again, I know she's not going to be the central character of the movie, and we all know that.
yeah.
She's already coming in probably late in the movie anyway. But my whole thing was just that, you know, you can make ways for her to be there. That's all I'm saying. You can make
Yeah.
ways for her to be there.
I could see a
And
cameo, absolutely. But the
yeah,
thing is that, like, do we really? I mean, do we really want a cameo in every Scream movie? No, we want to see her be badass Sydney. We want to see her show up and be the one to take out Ghostface. You know what I mean? Like I
Let's
can
just
see
do it
like
that. Let's just do that.
yeah,
Now
I
we're
can
coming at
see
the end.
Yeah, just at the end and just shoots him
Yeah.
every time.
Just like
That's
bang,
how
let's
every
go.
movie ends. But no, I mean, like I can see, you know, Scream. So Scream 6, let's say, probably won't have her at all. But I could see Scream 7 to wrap up the trilogy. Maybe she has like a cameo or something. You know, maybe Sam is like, hey, you went through this 3 times. Like, what was it like? And maybe Sydney's the Randy that tells the rules. You know, the killer superhuman. Blah 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 blah. And you have this cool little cameo. I could see something like that. But outside of that, like what's like that one time? Like how many times? Again, she doesn't. If she lived in Woodsboro, cool, perfect. Because you could have her as like the librarian, that's like the wise, like you know, like Yoda type character that like went through all this stuff and like relays the information to the new cast. Like you could do something like that. But she's in a completely different state. Like she's got a family now. Like at some point we got like Steven said, the final bullet. Exactly. Like just every film, that's how the movie ends. Just Sydney pops out of a closet, shoots Ghostface.
Yeah.
Like,
No, and I think we all know that at this point, well, I shouldn't say we know, we haven't seen the movie, but we all it looks very clearly like this is starting. They're passing the torch, right? That's they've set it up from the beginning, and that Sam's, you know, if it's going to be her, she's going to be someone's going to be that next person. And so, yeah, I mean, the writing is on the proverbial wall, but I just think that I don't want to see them all get killed. I think, you know, I think we talked earlier about it. I won't rehash it again. If you guys came in super late, you know, you can rewatch the replay tomorrow for what you missed. But, you know, Sydney is, I told everyone earlier, she is as safe as anybody in the world. She's the only character in this movie that I think has a 100% chance of living. And so I'm not worried about her dying. But I hope that Gale doesn't get killed. I mean, I hope they all live. I mean, honestly, I would love Dewey to give us that good thumbs up, and then we never see him again or something. Or they mention him in the 6th one, but we'll find out. I think we'll know a lot more. Obviously, we're going to know a lot more after this movie we see the movie, and because all it's I mean, duh. But when we see I guess what I mean by that is when we see the story of these characters and how they're writing for Sam and who survives and what connections are there to the past. Like, if Mindy survives, as we think she will, then you've got the Meeks connection living on in Woodsboro, just stuff like that. Yeah, Retro. No, absolutely, brother. Like I say, I love throwing out ideas, man. That's what we're here. That's the whole point of what we're doing.
This is all about.
It's what it's about, man. There's not a bad idea. We talk them out, we flesh them out. It's all good, man. RS is craving fate, right? Let's get rid of it. I'm just reading somebody's last little bit of comments. Yeah. All right. Guys, I think we're going to call it a night here. We went, when I started this stream tonight, it was an impromptu stream. I only put like a thing up an hour ahead of time. And I said, man, if we get 4 people, I'll be happy. And man, you guys, after 2.5 to almost 3 hours, we've been going now. And we've been staying in the 30s and 40s, mostly 40s this entire time. And that is a testament to all of you here that means a lot to me. And then I know Fate appreciates it as well as he joined in later in the broadcast. But I want to just say, guys, that we appreciate you. I know it's after midnight for probably most of you right now. Although, Fate, it's still Christmas for you.
It's still Christmas.
So it's still Christmas. So we're going to say, hey, from Pluto, thank you. Absolutely appreciate you coming and staying the whole time. That is man, Pluto is the bomb, man. Sticking it out the whole almost 3 hours. That is impressive. That is awesome. But yeah, I'm so blown away that you guys showed up like this and have stayed this long. And I appreciate all of you. Fate, thank you, man, for hopping in on Christmas night, man.
Right. I figured I had a little time. So
yeah, this was awesome, brother. I appreciate it, man. I know we'll be cooking up some more stuff next week and all that good stuff with the collective. But guys, everyone here, I want to say good night to all of you. Merry Christmas. Again, thanks so much. And if you have not yet given this video a thumbs up, I just realized I've had this thing running on the bottom for like an hour and a half. I meant to only put that little banner up for 5 minutes. Anyway, I got lost in thought. But anyway, appreciate you guys'
no
support.
one will forget.
Yeah, no doubt. No excuses on that. My gosh. But anyway, guys, for real, appreciate you, and I will catch you on the next one. And until then, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Good night, guys. See ya.
See ya.